Yeah, we live. What is up, good people? Back. Oh shit. Shoot. I already done threw off the algorithm with a cuss word bright and early, but what's going on? What's going on, good people? We are back in the building for another one. We will be joined by that's loud. That sound don't sound right. Let me try to fix that. We will be joined by Pocket Watching with JT. That's a funny YouTube name to begin with. But we're going to be joined by him momentarily. But either way it go, come on in. Make sure you hit the like button whether you're catching it right now live or as you're catching it after it's uploaded. Make sure you hit that like button and let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
My mic muted. I didn't hear a thing I was saying. Just trying to get comfortable in my seat, just rambling. I ain't say nothing important. But shout out to everybody that's made it on in the building. Shout out to Quang Q in the building. Says, good morning, chat. Hope everyone's day is going well. Shout out to Kelvin Davis, BP time. I was only like 3 minutes late. Cut me some slack. Okay, maybe like 4 minutes. I don't know. But he says, any other way just wouldn't be right. LOL. Right on. Nicer in the building. Shout out to Nicer. Dusty Shackleford says, here we go. Always hear the Joker from the Dark Knight whenever somebody say, here we go. Aaron B in the building. Shout out to you. Eric the Red, Watch Gamer Channel. He says, does Boyce give good advice regarding money? Maybe. He should stick to that. Well, we about to kind of get into that one right there. I was going to put it in the title, do he give good financial advice? But I opted to just go with good advice. I didn't know if I wanted to be in the title taking a shot at his financial bona fides. But the pocket watcher may do that. So that's why I'm leaving it in his hands. I didn't want to put it in the title. But I said, is Pookie Gabe A coming? Perhaps. I like Pookie Gabe A. Pookie Gabe A, all right with me. He said, don't spill your coffee today. Haven't done it yet. Shout out to Regal Badman. Shout out to Joseph Milligan. I think I said that right. Q497. We were cursing. You were cursing us out. The first 10 seconds muted. No. And I made it all the way down to the bottom of the list. Blaze Blah says salute everyone. And K Business Podcast says you got JT coming nice, and you got a business podcast. I will check that out. That's beneficial when you put podcast in your name. That prompts me to go look up your channel. But but all right. But without further ado, got to bring up the man of the hour, the special guest who's about to completely eviscerate and ruin Boyce Watkins' career.
That's quite a build-up.
Yeah, you're here to just to end Boyce Watkins' career. That's what we brought you on for.
Okay. Well, good luck.
How you doing, man? Good.
I'm doing great, man. First off, I always thank you for even inviting me on your platform. I'm a real fan of your content, so I appreciate it.
Hey, man, appreciate you coming. I meant to do it a while back. I've been kind of, watching in the clouds a little bit. I don't have that much time to watch people's content, but when I see somebody, I hear about somebody, I watch a little bit here and there, and then just to try to get familiar. But I really sat down and listened to you for a while when you was on the lead attorney. I had a good conversation going over there, and that ended up being an 8-hour live stream.
That was a marathon.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, a lot of that good stuff that was said is just going to get lost in the midst of that 8 hours. So I was like, it'd be good. We just come on and have a more focused conversation about that. But before we get all the way into it, this is the corny question I got from O'Shea when he used to interview people. Give us a little bit of your background, not necessarily your background. Well, I guess you can give it all. Give your background on your professional expertise, and then how did you end up in this YouTube space, this Black YouTube space, this Black manosphere? I don't even know if you claim. I don't know if you claim the title. I don't want to put it on you. You might not want that stench on you, but how did you get in here? How did you get all in this? And shout out to the lead attorney down in the chat real quick.
Big shout outs to the lead attorney. Yes, sir. All right. So both questions really, the one leads into the other. So I am I'm an accountant. I have my undergraduate degree in accounting, and then I went on to gain my certification in financial planning from Howard University School of Business. I'm an accountant, but I'm really a financial advisor. I'm licensed both in tax and financial planning. And the reason why I have to say it like that is most people don't realize when you're an attorney, like the lead attorney, when you're an attorney, you go to law school, you pass the bar, and then you have options of different fields within the law to practice based on, passing that one bar exam. In the world of finance, it's different. To be licensed in different things, you have to take different exams. So someone who would refer to themselves as a financial advisor technically doesn't mean that they're actually licensed to represent you in tax matters. It doesn't mean that they're actually licensed to represent you in investment matters. So that's why I say I'm licensed both in tax and financial planning. So, I graduated school, got licensed, hung my shingle, became a financial advisor. And the reason why I have a YouTube channel today is because there is a lot of fluff. There's a lot of stuff online with people who claim to be financial experts. They claim to have the secret sauce to make you a millionaire. And what would happen is clients would actually send me these videos. They would, see the stuff online just like everyone else. They'll see the stuff online and they say, hey, JT, check this out. Let me know what you think. Is this something that we should do? And far too often, I'm talking about like 99% of the time, far too often, most of the advice that I would see would be BS. And I would have to break it down to the client and explain, this is wrong. That is wrong. You can't really do this. They're just talking out their ass. They don't know what they're talking about. And at some point I realized, hey man, I might as well turn on the webcam and do this on YouTube because I'm getting way too much of this stuff coming to me from my clients. I mean, they'll text it to me, they'll DM it to me. So I'm just going to turn on the webcam. And that's where Pocket Watching with JT came from.
I was going to ask you about the name Pocket Watching. That's a funny name because that's one of the things brothers get charged up with that a lot, man. You pocket watching.
Right. So that term, when I was trying to come up with a name for the channel, I was like, I wanted something that I could take ownership of that no one else really has out there. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, I mean, being a financial advisor, I am a very well-paid pocket watcher. That's what people pay me to do. And I figured, man, I'm going to take this term, I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to show people what you can actually do being a pocket watcher. And shout out to Doug. Yes, sir. The real HU, Howard University.
Yeah, shout out, salute to Doug. He says Howard grads, but just remember Hampton is real HU. Shout out to you, Doug. Appreciate you. Super chat. To Pedro DoorDash Santiago. That's interesting.
Yeah, hey, Pedro's actually a guy I know in real life. He's here in the city of St. Louis. Yeah. And he has a great channel where he really breaks down and help people who wants to get into the gig economy, you know, DoorDash and all that stuff. He has a great channel.
Oh, he wouldn't like it over here. We've been some DoorDash bashers and shamers. I've gotten some education on it that it's not just something that teenagers and college students do, but I've realized grown people do it and make money doing it. I realize that. Right. But yeah, that's cool. Shout out to Pedro. Appreciate the super chat. So let's go ahead and get into it. Well, I want to talk about some of the scams you exposed on your channel. I was just listening to someone where some guy, he was, well, you know what, we're gonna get right into the Boyce Watkins. We'll save some of this stuff for later. I got a scam that somebody just tried to pull on me. I'm gonna ask your opinion on that. Okay. My son has a PlayStation 5 that he don't want no more because he's doing his gaming on the computer and he's recording it, and he's basically at the early stages of, I don't know how it works, you know, they play games on Twitch, record it, put it on YouTube. He's playing around with that. He learned how to edit videos. I showed him a little something. So he's in the early stages of getting his little, you know, YouTube, Twitch career going. He only 13, so you know, so he's in the early stages of that. But he figured out he don't need his PS5. He just want to sell it and get some graphics. I forgot what it's called, but something to just some graphics enhancer for the PC.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, we can sell you PS5. So I just went on and just put the PS5 on Facebook Marketplace. And lo and behold, the first person that contacted me was this real sketchy looking Instagram, the one follower and following like 17 people, one picture without his face in it, and then the picture with his face in it, white dude had shades on, and I'm like, this look
like he drives a white panel van with no windows, right?
I'm like, this looked all kind of sketchy. We went through the whole process, and he and come to find out, the money, he was trying to get me to send the product without him sending the money. He had some fake PayPal email set up where it looked good. It looked like PayPal, but I could tell it wasn't PayPal. I was like, okay, send me the money. He said, I sent the money, check your email. I'm like, I don't see it on PayPal. He's like, check your email. And then I'm sitting there like, I don't see it on PayPal. He was like, well, check your email. I'm like, it's not on my email either. Check the spam. I checked the spam. I'm like, okay, it's there. I see it. And it was set up. It was looking real good. It was like PayPal. I don't know how he did it, but it basically it looked like a receipt.
Yeah. I mean, these guys do it all the time. They do it with Cash App. They do it with any type of peer-to-peer payment system. They'll get you to believe that you're the one that's tripping. You're the one that's not getting it, just so that you can go ahead and just ship whatever it is that they want, and then you're left holding the bag. Yeah, those type of scams are super, super old. One thing that I always tell clients, man, actually, and you probably did this, don't just read what the name that populates in the email, because it'll make it look like it's coming from your bank. It'll make it look like it's really coming from PayPal. You actually have to click it and look at the real email address, and you'll see it's coming from some fraudulent place, because I can type in anything.
Well, it was like PayPal_.PayPal service something. I was like,
yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find something because I want to, damn it, I can't find. Well, okay. The more interesting part. Damn, oh wait, hold on. There it was. But this thing looked so legit. I wish I could show it, but it's so much in here. It basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to this scam. There's an advanced fee scam where they get you to, like, you're supposed to be receiving something, but you have to pay the tax or pay the shipping or something like that, and then you never get the product. This is the other side of that coin, where you're advanced shipping something, and then you're supposed to get paid on the back end, and you never get the payment.
Yeah, it's a transaction ID and everything on this thing, but no, this is the part I want to read to you.
Okay.
I want to read this to you, and I just want your thoughts on this when my phone stop acting like I got bad internet or something. Come on now, my phone normally not this slow. Why is it tripping? Dang, shoot. It's tripping. All right, I might just have to pull back on that, or just pull it up later when we get a chance, because he said some wordy mumbo jumbo.
Okay, they'll make it sound real good. They'll make it sound real good.
Wordy mumbo jumbo that I want to read. Okay, I got it.
All right,
I got it. Come on, just one more load. Okay. After I saw the email, I said, it's right there. It's right there in my spam. I said, when I see the money in my account, I'll ship the item. That's what I told him. When I see the money in my account, I'll ship the item. This is what he said. He said, the funds isn't transferred yet because you haven't imputed a valid tracking number to them for verification. You have to ship the package off from your pocket. Besides, I already added the shipping in my order. Once it's shipped, you send the tracking number to the mail you got from PayPal for verification, and funds will be cleared into your account immediately.
Right.
I was like, I just blocked him after that one.
Yeah, let me give you a little tip, and the whole audience a tip when it comes to stuff like that. People think when they get scammy emails like that, and there's broken grammar, right? The word context and everything seems a little off. People think that when you read that the scammer made a mistake. Like, this guy's so sloppy, he doesn't even know how to write English properly. They're not making a mistake. They do that on purpose. Scammers will type up an email with broken language, with broken words in there on purpose. They use it as a filtering system, because this is what they think in their minds. I don't want to waste my time trying to trick Bernard into giving me money when Bernard is smart enough not to send me money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I send an email with a lot of broken language in it. That way I can filter out the naive from people who are not naive. Because someone who's not, I'm not going to send someone money in any type of professional setting where the language is all messed up. So it's really a filtering system, because the scammer doesn't want to waste their time dealing with someone who's ultimately not going to send them money. So they send emails with broken language in it as a filtering system. They don't make mistakes. If they wanted to, they can make that email sound like it came from a Harvard student. They send it like that because it's a filtering tool.
K Business Podcast says Morgan beats Howard all day. Sorry, JP. Yeah, they own you. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the super chat. I wanted to share that with you because I was watching some of your content and I was watching how you was explaining and breaking down various scams, and I was like, it's so funny. Somebody just tried to scam me yesterday, so I just
and just think about that. You were smart enough not to fall for it. They send out stuff like that hundreds of thousands a day, and they'll get maybe 1 or 2%, but that's all they need.
No, I was sitting there thinking, like, this dude probably practically sits at a desk and does that on like an 8-hour shift. And you're right.
That's a full-time job.
If he gets 1 or 2 per day, let's just think. Just think if I would have sent it to him.
Yeah.
Even if he talked to 100 people that day, if I was the one dummy that would have sent it to him, that's how he would have made his money for that day.
He's up. Yeah, he's up.
He would have took that PlayStation 5 and sold it for $500.
Right.
And hey, he made $500 that day. So
some people don't make that in a week.
So. Exactly. So definitely. But before we get into this whole Boyce Watkins thing, Clue in the building with a $5 super chat. Appreciate it. The first major PayPal scam was when some dude bought the domain name paypay.com. back when the capital L back when the capital L-I and the lowercase l were identical. Okay, yep. But yeah. All right, y'all. We about to get into this. Make sure y'all hit the like button. I don't know where we at on the likes. I can't see it. I gotta pull it up on the screen. I'm sitting there charging my tablet. But we're about to get into this conversation you was having with the lead attorney when you was talking about Boyce Watkins. Y'all were breaking down whether or not he gives good advice in general. I think we all understand that if you're talking about life, telling men to go wife up baby mamas and all of that, I think we all can just touch and agree that okay, he on some bull right there. That's not
right.
If a dude want to do that, but go more power to you. Go do your thing, live your life. But that's nothing that you should just be emboldening single men with no children to do.
Exactly.
So we can all agree that was bad. But you threw out something out there about his financial advice, and that's something I've never questioned about Boyce. So I'll let you go ahead and set up your argument. Go ahead. What was the point that you was making?
Absolutely. So I wanted to lay a foundation of why he's giving bad life advice. The reason why I consider Dr. Boyce is giving bad life advice is the same reason of where his financial career is. Most people think and they consider Boyce to be a financial expert. And in a sense, he is. But he's a financial expert in the sense that he's a financial scholar, right? He's a financial scholar, not a financial advisor. And here's the difference. And because of TV, movies, and everything like that, the general population, they have an understanding of how the legal profession works. Someone goes to law school, they graduate, then they take the bar exam, they become an attorney. People understand that. When it comes to Boyce, in his situation, Boyce is like a person that went to law school, but then never took the bar exam and became an attorney. He simply went to law school, graduated, and then immediately became a professor. He's never actually practiced in the world of finance, right? When he graduated from college with his PhD in finance, that was the same year I graduated high school, okay? He's never actually had to be a financial advisor. He's never actually ever been qualified or licensed to give anybody any type of advice. Everything that Boyce does and what he's qualified to do is read books and regurgitate what he read in books. He's never actually had to deal with the real world of finance. So the reason why he gives weird general life advice is because that's basically what he gives in financial advice. He gives you what you read in a book. But any true professional, be it a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, we will tell you What you read in the book in school is one thing, but when you actually have to practice deal with clients one-on-one, what's in the book isn't exactly how it goes down. So while I'm sure he has a lot of book knowledge of how finance works, he's never actually done it. So he's a scholar. He's a big thinker, but he's never done it.
Okay, how does that work? Okay, so he went to school.
Mm-hmm.
He finished school.
Right.
Okay, so immediately after school, what did he do?
He became a professor.
He just started teaching.
He started teaching immediately. That's really the only reason why you would get a PhD in finance. A PhD in finance does not qualify you to give financial advice. A PhD in finance qualifies you to teach finance on a collegiate level. That's what it does. That's why he can really lay, a claim that in 2002, he was the only black person in the world to graduate with a PhD in finance. It is a great accomplishment, but you got to ask the question, why? Why would he be the only black person in the world in 2002 to graduate with a PhD in finance? The reason why is the vast majority of us business students who go to school and study finance, we don't go to school to become professors. We go to school to actually get into the field of financial services, to become financial advisors, to become hedge fund managers. That's why we go to school. So yeah, he went to school to become a college professor. He's never actually done this work.
Interesting. I never looked at it like that. And so, and lead attorney, he gave some of his thoughts and experience on that, because he was basically saying he ultimately didn't learn anything in law school. I mean, he learned how to, read the books and answer the questions and everything, but he had to get out there in the field as a lawyer to truly know what was going on.
Yes. And I've got clients who are doctors, I got clients who are attorneys, and I'm an accountant. It's the same across the board. When we are in school, we learn theory. We learn the principles of the discipline that we're studying. We don't actually become practitioners. We don't actually really get a hold of how to be a doctor, lawyer, or an accountant until you actually get into the field. You deal with patients, clients. You actually have to work out a problem within your field so you get experience to know the books say one thing, but we all know in real life you have to do something a little bit different, because if it was just as easy as reading a book, then everyone can do this work. You actually have to practice the profession. And this isn't a shot at Boyce. This is a clarification to people who think that Boyce has some sort of real life experience in the things that he says. And he does not. He has no real life experience in having to work with a client, build an investment portfolio. He's never had to talk to a widow after their spouse died and hand them a life insurance check and explain to them that, hey, emotionally, your life is going to be a wreck for the next 6 months to a year. But financially, we made sure that we put you in the right place, that you don't have to worry about money. He's never had to do that. It's all theory to him. It's something that he can talk about, but he's never done it.
Sick Lid in the building with this $10 super chat. He says, I got an email from a Chinese female millionaire. She said she loved me a long time.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything.
The geek surgeon says, peace to the gods and the goddesses. Thank you, Bernard and JT, for giving practical life and financial advice to our youth. Well, I don't give. I can give some practical life advice. Okay, I don't give financial advice. Don't listen to me. I'm over here sweating right now over some bad investments I may have made. I'm looking at I'm over here looking at my Weeble right now. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me on finances. I guessed right on AMC. Well, I made a little AMC money.
Right.
I did a few other things that I probably shouldn't have did after that. But yeah, no, that's interesting. But far as the advice he actually gives, because honestly, I never hear him give financial advice. It's like he normally just, and granted, I don't listen to him that much. Let me just make that. Let me show my cards on that one. I don't listen to him that much, but when I do listen to him, he's normally talking about general life stuff, like everybody else, really.
Yes. And here's the deal. The reason why you will never actually hear Boyce give financial advice is because Boyce has never and is not licensed to give financial advice. He cannot do it even if he wanted to. So that's why you're going to hear him give a lot of general concepts. And that's why you're going to see him pivot into other realms of life advice, because he does not have the ability to give financial advice. There's things you have to do, and he has never done those things.
So it's almost like that's just his title for show, just to say, hey, I'm credentialed. Look at me. Now I'm here talking about this other stuff.
Yeah. It's like anyone who watches Dr. Oz on TV, right? Dr. Oz is a real doctor. He has a MD that I'm aware of. But the stuff that he talks about on his show has nothing to do with him being a medical doctor. Okay, so Dr. Boyce has a PhD in finance. What does that qualify him for? One thing, to be a college professor. Is he a college professor? No.
How long did he teach? I mean, I'm assuming he taught at some point, right?
Yeah. He taught immediately after getting his PhD. I believe he secured a job in being a college professor, but he wasn't able to achieve tenure. Right. So for the audience, what's tenure? Tenure is basically, we all watch mob movies, so it's like being a made man in the mob. When you become tenured as a college professor, you're basically almost untouchable. You can't simply just be fired for any willy-nilly reason. You become untouchable. And the thing, what happened with Boyce is he started going on the talk shows. He started going on Fox News and speaking the rhetoric that he speaks. And what ended up happening was he ultimately blamed Bill O'Reilly for keeping him from becoming tenured at Syracuse University. So that's what he claims. Now, if you go online and you can find online reviews of students of his, based on the reviews that his own students gave him, he wasn't that good of a college professor. According to him, I never took a class with Boyce, but based on the reviews that you can find online, he wasn't that good of a college professor. So I want to be clear. He's qualified to do one thing with that PhD, be a college professor, right? He failed at that. But to his credit,
hold on. By failed, you mean he didn't get tenure?
He didn't become tenured, and that was his goal. Understand this. Okay. When you go through years of education to get a PhD, and that PhD only qualifies you for one thing, to be a college professor. All college professors want to get tenured. I mean, that's the goal for any college professor. He was unable to do that. But to his credit, he was able to pivot and change his ultimate career goal from being a tenured professor. He pivoted into the space of being an online financial expert. And he's achieved success in that, right? So that's to his credit. But I just want to make sure that, because people don't understand, being a PhD in finance doesn't give you any type of financial advising, financial planning credentials. The only thing it does is give you the ability to be a college professor. And as of right now, what I'm aware of, he hasn't been a college professor for quite some time.
So what he would have had to do, or somebody in that situation would have had to do after he got their PhD, if there's like some other type of test or exam or qualification. I think you already alluded to that earlier.
Right.
You
don't, exactly.
You have to do like pass the bar equivalent, basically.
Yes. So there's different exams. There's different financial licenses that you would need to take to qualify you to be a financial advisor. And you don't need a PhD to get that. You don't even need an MBA to qualify you to take these exams. So that's why when, people allude to the fact that, he has a PhD in finance. He was the only black man in the world to achieve a PhD in finance in 2002. That's because there's not a big market for it. No one's really trying to become a PhD in finance.
Wait,
unless you want to be a professor.
You would have to pass, what is it? Is it called like the Series 5? Or am I thinking of something?
Yeah, so there's a Series 7. The Series 7 exam qualifies you to be a broker. Now, just to be clear, a broker is not a financial advisor. A broker is someone who sells you a financial product, be it a stock, a bond, a mutual fund. That means that they can sell you something and they make a commission off the sale. That doesn't make you a advisor. To be an advisor, you have to go the other route, which is a Series 65 exam, which qualifies you as an investment advisor. An investment advisor, we don't make money off selling products. We make money based off our advice. The client pays us directly for our advice. No other third-party company is kicking us down a commission because we sold a product. But he's not a qualified broker, nor is he a qualified advisor. He's a PhD who isn't a college professor at any university that I'm aware of.
Black Wizard in the building says, been a while, but now just saying what's up. What's up and salute to you. Haven't seen you through here in a minute. Black Wizard, shout out to you. Appreciate you coming on through. Snuggles in the building. She says, I need help in making money. Can someone help me? You book a consultation with JP. You have a Snuggles bear gonna crawl across your desk.
Hi, I'm Snuggle. Snuggly softness. That's really less expensive.
Yeah, you get that Snuggles bear in your office, it's scared. You don't want none of that. No. Shout out to K Polymath in the building. He says I think he means Boyce, not first black for economics/finance, PhD. 2 PhD, not just for professor. 3, he wasn't professor, he was lecturer. 4, he has a finance business. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I don't understand what finance business means, other than he has a business where he sells courses on basic financial principles, which you don't need any type of qualification. Bernard, you can today start a business where you're selling courses on basic financial principles. You can do it today, and you'll be just as qualified as Boyce is in being able to tell people basic financial principles and sell them an online course. His PhD has nothing to do with that other than the fact that he's qualified to teach finance. He's not qualified to actually practice finance.
Hi, you laying it on him thick. You're laying it on him thick.
And honestly, if he hears this, and I don't know if he would, but if he hears this, while he may object to the way I'm saying this, he can't do anything but agree to the fact that he has never been and is not today qualified or licensed to give anybody financial advice. That's the core of the argument.
Yeah, and you already alluded to this, but I do want to point out that, listen, when it comes to men in general, but particularly black men, however you make it, I'm happy for you.
Right.
Because if he didn't take the Series 7 or the Series 65, I think you said it was.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't do that. He never was an actual financial advisor or broker or anything.
Right, correct.
He didn't get tenure, but he figured out a way to try to finagle that into a career as a public figure.
Yes.
And he's extremely successful at that. Yes. So I take the same position that I had when people pull up when they pulled up Kevin Samuel's potential lack of a chemical engineering degree. I'm like, right now I'm looking at a winner. So
yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm in the same place when it comes to Boyce on that. But
Boyce was able to successfully pivot his career from his ultimate goal was to become a tenured professor teaching finance. That was his goal, right? Something happened in there where that didn't happen for him, and he was able to successfully pivot to becoming an online expert in finance. That's great. My sole purpose in this argument is to let people know, because people really don't understand the field of finance the same way that they understand the field of law. He's never practiced what he is preaching because he's never had the legal ability to practice what he's preaching. It's all theory.
Why would that hurt for me to say that? Like, I hate it. You do that a lot. Don't try to pin a narrative on me. I genuinely meant what I said. Cut it out. I genuinely meant what I said. All right, I'm sorry, I cut you off, man.
No, you good.
But where was it? Okay, Faris's financial advice.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard him say something that where you were like, that's absolutely wrong? Or is he good at just keeping it so general and so just so general to the point to where he can't really be saying anything wrong?
Yeah, I mean, let me be clear. I'm not an avid Boyce watcher. So I'm sure there's a lot of different things that he said that I would disagree with. But yeah, he normally keeps things very general. But there are a couple of cases that I've seen and I've seen online where he got it completely wrong, or he didn't actually give the proper perspective on an investment opportunity. And I'm going to mention one right now. So anyone who's been in this space, I would hope that you probably have heard of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Okay. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund is a project that was masterminded by an online influencer by the name of Jay Morrison. His real name is Jermaine Morrison. He's a guy who was a real estate agent on the East Coast in the New Jersey area. And then he was able to pivot into a career somewhat like Boyce as an online financial expert just in the space of real estate. Well, back in 2018, I believe it was, he started a crowdfund investment opportunity for low-income members of the Black community because the buy-in was $500, extremely cheap for a investment vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not a public company the same way that you can buy shares on the stock market. It's a public company in the sense that you can crowdfund. You can go to their website and buy shares of this company. And Boyce was a part of this company. He bought shares. He spoke at different events promoting this company. But if he was really a financial advisor, he would have been able to warn people that this was a horrible investment. It's a company that's owned and operated by one person. When they publicated the information about the company, it was only one person who was the CEO, the CFO. Everything was based on one person. That one person, who is Jay Morrison, has no experience leading any type of hedge fund or investment fund. And it's basically a loser, right? He evaluated the company at $50 million. So if you bought a share of this Tulsa Real Estate Fund, you're basically buying the company at the market price of $50 million. The company had no assets. It had no revenue. It barely even had a staff. The only thing it had was about $20,000 in debt. And Boyce was promoting this BS. So that is where he accidentally tripped up, and he went from giving general advice to selling something, a more particular investment that any real financial advisor would have saw and called BS. I mean, I, for one, when it came out on my Instagram page years ago, I said, this is BS. If you buy into this, it's basically a donation. Please don't expect a return on your money. But Boyce was promoting this because he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to really being a financial advisor.
Was other, because I don't know how big your platform was back then. You say you just had an Instagram. You just had a personal Instagram, basically.
Correct.
Okay. Was other Black finance people with platforms coming out against this, like, hey, this is kind of shaky? You know, was anybody?
I mean, yeah, but we're all in comparisons to Boyce, all of our footprints are extremely small. Extremely small. There was no real big person in the influencer and online space that was able to say, hey, look out for this. But there are other people. I mean, there are different attorneys that were saying the same thing. Hell, the NFL Players Association put out an alert on this investment, basically advising the NFL players, because he's an influencer and he was trying to get these big name NFL players, and the NFLPA put out, say, hey, this is an alert. This is who this guy is. This is his criminal record. This is all the things that, you know, we see as a bad investment. We are warning our members of the NFL Players Association. So there was people out there who said this, but the thing is, people like Boyce, and Jay himself has a extremely large internet following. I mean, between the two of them, it's probably almost 1 million people that they can influence, and followers and subscribers that they have. But that right there, that was a clear example to any real financial advisor that Boyce does not know what he's doing, one, or he turned a blind eye to his responsibility to informing people about the true nature of this investment, because he's a partner in the business himself.
I gotta say, I've never heard anybody in finance ever call out Boyce or criticize his financial bona fides. That's never happened. Is it? So do you think it's like a code of silence, so to speak? And I can understand it to some degree. Like right now with Boyce, I really don't care. I mean, he done came at the manosphere and a bunch of times and has said some BS about us. So right now, I really don't care that much. But in general, I do understand the being on code and not you know trying to shoot him down. So is it like a code of silence to where other people in finance don't really want to do that?
There's a couple of things. Most people in finance, they work for a larger firm. And in the world of finance, there are strict rules and regulations about different ways that you communicate. So if you work for one of the larger firms, you have to get your social media post approved before you can post it, right? So there's a strict rules and regulations about what a financial advisor can put out on the internet when you work for these big firms. My one advantage is I work for myself. It's my own firm. The person who approves what I post is me. So I have no strings attached to me. There's no one that I have to check with when I give a opinion on something. So I think that's something that really stifles a lot of people in this area. They have hoops that they have to jump through, and they figure, you know, it's not even worth it. But to me, this is what I do. And when I see someone who is leading people down the wrong path, and I will stand on this when it comes to Boyce supporting the Tulsa Real Estate Fund with Jay Morrison, that was ridiculous. If he is half of what he believes himself to be in the world of finance, he would never have promoted it in the way that he did. He promoted it as if, hey, you trust the white man with your money. You never asked the white man about, you know, do they have the qualifications? And the white man don't care about you. This is a brother who cares about you. So I'm going to trust him. I believe in him, without actually looking at the things that we're trying to look at. When I became licensed and studied finance, you are trained to look at certain things when you evaluate an investment, especially a fund. Number one, you look at the fund manager. You look at his history, his qualifications. None of these things Boyce did. But once again, Boyce is not a financial advisor. So I really don't expect him to do it because he doesn't know how to do this.
Shout out to Goshen. He says the being on code don't knock a man's hustle. Shaking my head. I was just about to get on that, but see, this is where the not knocking a man hustle can come into play. And I understand that, but if you can measure the amount of harm in somebody's hustle,
right,
then I think it could be okay to knock it if you can measure the amount of harm. Now, other than situations like that, like that's a legitimate situation where he could have led. I don't know how it all played out, how it ended. Did a lot of black people end up losing money on that, or what?
I mean, at this point right now, it's still a fund that's operating, but it's a fund that has never produced any profits. It actually lost $1 million the last time they published a financial statement. And there are a large amount of people who want their money back. But if Boyce would have been able to properly communicate what the contract said within the subscription, you do not have a right to get your money back if Jay Morrison claims he doesn't want to give you your money back. One person has the ability to say if you get your money back or not. He should have communicated that if he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad if he got people to sign up under the guise of we blackity black, we black, y'all fist in the air, but it was economically not right. That's a problem that happens with black people. We put black as the thing that makes it okay. We in now. Black people doing it, so let's just support it because it's black, not looking at whether or not it's efficient or competent or the best for the job or whatever. But
that was the key selling point that Boyce would talk about, because it's a black-owned fund and it's a fund that is going to make money, and the money is going to go towards projects that's going to help black people and blah, 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 blah. If you actually studied this and he was a financial advisor, he would understand that these are all keywords of an affinity fraud. Affinity fraud is when someone scams you who's a part of your community. And the reason why they were successful in the scam is because you let your guard down because they were a part of your community. You didn't vet them the same way you would vet someone who wasn't a part of your community. And Boyce's selling point was, why are you trying to vet him like he's someone who's outside of your community? Trust him because he's black.
Rebel Rose in the building with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. He says Boyce Watkins has the black business school with no testimonials of anyone taking his class and becoming a millionaire, even just being successful. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
That's a red flag, right?
Let's see who we got in here. Shout out to Virgo Life. It says, and his record as a college professor is not good. In fact, it's pretty mediocre.
Yes, you can go online to this day and find websites where actual students of Boyce review him as a professor, and they're not great reviews. And I don't understand how he can try to say that the white man or Bill O'Reilly is the reason. And when you look at the reviews that he got from actual students, he wasn't that great of a professor.
What is his argument against Bill O'Reilly? That's some whole history there that I know nothing about.
Oh man, so I was in school when this was going on, and as a finance student, you're going to be watching stuff on news. So he really got on in media because he was the person that was invited on Bill O'Reilly's show, right? So on Fox News, he was a reoccurring guest to come on his show to basically be a punching bag for Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly, at his height, he was great at picking people who had weak arguments in the liberal space or the pro-black space. He would invite them on his show and basically beat them up on the show.
I'm very familiar with Bill O'Reilly. He is the king at asking a 3-minute long loaded question and give you like 5 seconds to answer it before he interrupt you with another 1 minute long follow-up loaded question where he's pounding the table. Answer the question. Answer the question. Have you stopped beating your wife yet? Answer the question. Do it live.
Right. So I mean that's where he really got on a national media level, was being a guest on that show, and he would say provocative hotep stuff on the show. And he claims the reason why he was unable to get tenure at Syracuse is because the university didn't like the look that he was giving the university. Now that's what he says. But if you look at the reviews from his own students, they say he wasn't a good professor.
Man, are the Bill O'Reilly, Boyce Watkins clips still on the internet somewhere?
I'm sure it's still living online somewhere. Absolutely.
Oh man, I got to pull some of those up. Man, hold on. I don't know if I'll do. I probably won't even. I probably won't play it live. I'll be trying to avoid playing stuff.
Right.
But I just want to. Okay, it looked like. Okay, so yeah, it looked like some of this stuff is still on here. Okay. Yeah. I might do something with that later. If it's, I gotta watch it first.
Right.
I gotta watch it first. I know how Bill O'Reilly get down, so I can imagine it was entertaining.
Yeah. That's how he really got on, and that's the excuse that he gave as to why he didn't gain tenure at Syracuse University. Now, if you look at the reviews from his students, they say otherwise.
Oh man, Buck Dodgers 1906 in the building says Boyce Watkins is looking kind of shaky, baby. Shout out to Buck. I also will give, and by the way, Leo Anthony, thank you very much for dropping JT's YouTube channel in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all go and subscribe to the brother. Even though he got, I'm looking at that little YouTube plaque right there. Is that what they send you after 10K subs?
My wife actually got this for me. So when she saw that I was getting to around 9,500, she went ahead and ordered it because she knew I was hitting 10K. So that's actually, I didn't get that directly from YouTube. I got that from my wife.
Hey, that's what's up, man. That's a good wife for you right there. That's because people normally get that 100K when I think you get 100K, you get a little plaque or something like that.
When you get 10K, you get a really nice email.
Yeah.
They send you a really nice email. Congratulations.
She's like, no, my man getting a whole plaque for his 10K accomplishments. I feel her. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I like that. But shout out to Leo Anthony for dropping your channel. Y'all make sure. Thanks, make sure y'all go and subscribe to the brother. Let's help him. Let's help him get a real plaque from YouTube. But shout out to Leo Anthony. Y'all make sure y'all be spamming out the chat room with his links. These are only links you got, just your YouTube channel. You got anything else?
Yeah, I also have a new website that I made. It's called pocketwatcher.net, and on pocketwatcher.net you can actually book a online consultation if you're not in my city. So for those who are unaware, I am actually based out of St. Louis, Missouri, but I have clients all over the country. And if you wanted to actually book a consultation with me or get more information from me, you can actually go to pocketwatcher.net, and all my information is there.
All right. Now, moderators, y'all probably quicker than me because I'm sitting here trying to type it all slow. Pocket Watcher, or you could drop it in the chat, then the moderators could copy and paste it, and then they can start spamming it out with that.
All right.
Somebody want to? Oh wait, I think I found it. Hold on. There we go. Copy, and there it is. Moderators, y'all copy mine, and then there. Now y'all got it, so y'all can definitely spam it out. Y'all can definitely spam out the chat room with that. If somebody needs some financial advice from a real accountant. It's funny how you put that in your put that in your name. Like what's It's like you sound like you're talking shit to somebody indirectly.
Right. Man, I'm telling you, before I got on, there's so much stuff. There's just so much stuff. There's so many people who are claiming to be financial experts beyond Boyce, right? There's people all over the internet, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and they'll sell you a course on how to become financially independent, but far too often, and I'm talking about in the high 90 percentile, people just end up paying for these courses and nothing happens. And, so I had to put that on there. A real accountant reacts, because this is real, right? This isn't something that I just rolled over in bed one day and decided, oh, I want to do this. What you see today is years of education and experience working day to day with real live people, right? A majority of them in the Black community, and working with them to solve financial issues in their life and help them become more financially independent. So this is why when I hear Boyce just gives basic information, I understand we live in a world where most of the population are financially illiterate. So when they hear the very, very basic financial information that Boyce gives out, to them it sounds revolutionary. Okay, I applaud Boyce for giving basic information. But when he starts to dig into the weeds and start giving more particular advice, or he says something that's off, I understand why he's saying things wrong. Because he's not really a financial advisor. He's a scholar. He's a big thinker. He's a talker. He's never had to do this.
Pablo Fresco Bar in the building. He says, oh, yeah. In the academic world, research is how professors obtain respect for peers and tenure. Right on. Excuse me. Rebel Rose back in here again with another one. He says Boyce is simply an intellectual trend surfer, and because he is a doctor, people take in all that he say as truth.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to make sure, I don't want to discredit the work that it takes to become a PhD in finance. I want to put it in its proper perspective. Being a PhD in finance simply means you went to school for a very long time to qualify you to become a professor. He's never actually done the things that he's talked about.
Good stuff, man. I never thought of it like that. This was very enlightening. Let's see. Okay, when I look at people, and it gets shaky with the whole internet financial advice game. I was talking to Jonathan Barronville, and he knows a little bit, about money, and he was basically explaining how, and I'm sure you probably in 100% agreement with him, how pretty much a lot of the people, you put the number at 90% of the people that's online talking about finances, saying how you can make money, or not using your own money, no money down, all of this, most of it is BS. Would you put it at the level of just outright scam, fraud, just frauding people, or just overselling?
Yes, it's extreme overselling, right? I want to take one example of something that you talked about. There's a lot of people online who talk about you can get into real estate with no money down. You can use other people's money and you can get into real estate and become, a real estate mogul. That is super hype. That is unrealistic. The only way that, and I have clients who are very wealthy from real estate. Yes, they are able to secure deals with no money down. But the reason why is they have two things in their corner that the people who are buying these courses do not have and will not have. One, they actually have money. Understand, people, when you have money in this world, the more money you have, the less you have to use. And because these people actually have money and the banks and the lenders know that they have money, they are given lines of credit. They are given loans that they are able to invest in more real estate and make more money where they don't have to put up money themselves. But it's because the banks and the lenders know they have money. And if they default on the loan, they can go after the money that they know that they have. So can you get into real estate with no money down? Yeah, but you actually still have to have money. And you actually have to have experience. You have to already proven that you have the ability to generate revenue from real estate. Then you can take advantage of opportunities with no money down. But they don't tell you that part, because if you hear that part, you're not going to buy the course. I'm raining on the parade. That's why people don't want to hear this. I'm not selling hope.
Yeah, that's where it gets to the point where you can say it's full-blown scam, because if you leave out important information that will make the difference of somebody buying a course or not buying a course,
right?
Then
right.
Yeah, it gets.
You can say it's fraud by omission. They are leaving out a key detail that is making a difference between someone actually being able to do it and someone not being able to do it. When you leave out that key detail, when you omit that, it's a material misrepresentation, is what we would say in our field.
The link is in the chat. Anybody want to come up? You got questions for JT? You just want to add to the conversation? You can come on up. I don't know how much time you got.
I got some time. I cleared out my day. For you, I cleared out my day. I did a marathon. I did a marathon with the lead attorney on Father's Day. So I said, hey, I'm going to make sure that I block out this day. I don't have an appointment in my actual firm until like 3:00. So let's go.
Okay, cool. Before the billions in the building, he says, I agree. A lot of professors don't have experience in the field that they teach, especially on computer science. Abdul Jones in the building. He says, this brother reading Boyce correctly, like Donald going. Shout out to Abdul Jones with the $20 super chat. Will Smith says 18 years in the mortgage industry. Shout out to you. All right, y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. We got 317 people in here. Let's bump these likes up to almost 200. I know it's probably a couple like one or two Boyce Watkins fans in here that, three of them that hit the thumbs down. Three of them that hit the thumbs down. It's 145 on the likes. Let's go ahead and bump those likes up a little bit. Let's get them up. See, that's cool. Like Little Big Nate just subscribed to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. And up to 300 people in here. If y'all not subscribed to Little Big Nate, you're doing yourself a disservice. You definitely got to go over there and listen to him rant and rave about the Luciferian Democrat baby murdering leftist scum. Shout out to Little Big Nate. I shouldn't have said all that. Now they gonna come after my views. Little Big Nate channel should be getting more views, but he keep calling them Democrats. They hating on his views. I need to not say that word either. But we got Pablo Frescobar in the building. What's going on, Pablo?
Hey, what's going on, Bernard? And to your guest, I've been watching his channel too. When he do his pocket watching thing, I remember he did one with Kevin Samuels and how the chicks were trying to figure out how much money he was making. I like that one.
I gotta watch that. I ain't see that.
That was. But I've been involved in higher education most of a good portion of my life. I've been enrolled in colleges and universities, and professors have a thing amongst each other where that research is key to earning the respect and the bona fides of the other professors and the university which
Yes.
gives you that tenure. If you're not out doing research, writing books, because what it does, it helps bring money into the university.
Right.
And so if Boyce was not really on his grind at Syracuse, a lot of the better professors that I've known, they're not really big windbags unless they're actually giving a lecture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In front of a class. They're not in front of a lot of TV cameras.
Because it takes a lot of time, years of study to come up with this research, man. You can't just talk. You got to actually go out into the field, study people, work with them, see what's working, what's not working, come up with an analysis of why something was successful or why something was not successful. Then you place this information before the world, before all of your colleagues, to tear it down just to see if it actually stands up to any type of criticism. But as we see with Boyce, he has a tendency to not like criticism. You can go to his page now and there's multiple videos where he turned off the comments. This is not the mindset of a true college professor.
No, it's not. It's not. They're open to dialogue and the back and forth. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so if he ran into trouble obtaining tenure, that's probably a big reason why.
Yeah,
you got to be open to that kind of thing, and you really got to put it into work.
Right, absolutely. It wasn't Bill O'Reilly, right? It most likely wasn't Bill O'Reilly. If he was doing the things that you are talking about, it doesn't matter. There's controversial professors all over this country. But if they got tenure, it's because they did the work. They did the research.
Yeah, you can't touch them. Once they get that, it's like being a Supreme Court justice on a university campus. Because they feel, okay, he's done the work. He's bona fide. He can, pontificate on whatever subject he likes.
He's a made man.
He's a made man. Oh, you made a comment about affinity. What did you call it?
Yeah, affinity fraud. Yes.
Affinity fraud. That is what Bernie Madoff used.
Yes.
To run his scam, because he was Jewish and so were most of his clients.
Absolutely.
And so he used his inroad in that community in order to defraud people of their money.
Yes. And that's one of my biggest issues with Boyce and this Tulsa real estate fund thing. He sold it as a great investment for the Black community. That was the selling point that he made. He didn't talk about the actual fundamentals of the company. The fundamentals of a company is like actually looking at its balance sheet, looking at its income statement, actually seeing the credentials of the top staff of the company. Because it had none of those things. The only selling point that he could sell it on was affinity, selling it on the fact that this is made by Black people for Black people, so invest your money, which is ridiculous.
Sir Tice in the building. Well, before I go to Sir Tice, Alpha Sigma 1914 in the building. He says, JT, what is that? Go. Okay, that's your frat.
Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Right on. Appreciate you, Alpha Sigma 1914. Appreciate the super chat. And Sir Tice sent a cash app, so thank you very much. I appreciate that cash app, Sir Tice. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, what's up, Bernie? Good morning. What's up, JT? What's up, Pop? Good morning to you all in the chat. Hey, JT, got two questions for you.
Sure.
One, how have you been dealing with the death threats from the Jay Morrison fanboy club?
Hey, you know what? At first, it was ridiculous because Jay Morrison, he almost got a cult-like following. To be real, it's ridiculous. Way early in the stages, when I only had an Instagram page of less than 1,000 people, when I kind of put out and I let people know about the NFLPA who said, hey, look out for this thing. Even Jay Morrison's wife jumped in my DMs to try to tell me, to lay off this investment. But honestly, man, there's a couple of people who came on my page, upset me about my criticisms of the fund and Jay Morrison. but a couple of them actually got turned around. The more videos that I've done of Jay Morrison breaking down the financial advice that he gave and showing how he absolutely has no idea what he's talking about, I've actually won over a couple of trolls. So, man, I'm gonna be in here. Ain't no big deal.
Yeah, man. I love how you use facts and what have you, but you know how it is. Any type of criticism is deemed as hatred. I love your particular video you did with him where with Jeezy and that fake $1 million check, and you looked up the IRS actual site. That was brilliant. I'm like, how can anybody take this dude seriously?
It's so simple. So to the audience who are probably unaware of what we're talking about, this character, Jay Morrison, years ago, he did a press conference with the rapper Young Jeezy, and Young Jeezy is donating $1 million to his school. Now, keep in mind, this is not an actual school. This is an online real estate course business. It's not a real school, but he shows Young Jeezy with this big $1 million check that he's giving to the school. At sight unseen, I knew it was BS. I knew it didn't make sense. But because Young Jeezy started a nonprofit organization called Street Dreams Foundations or something like that, I was like, okay, this is simple enough. We can prove if he actually gave him $1 million or not. Let's go on to the IRS website. Let's look up this foundation, and we can see the income and expenses of this nonprofit organization.
That's some pocket watching right there. That's right. You the pocket watcher for real.
I mean, that's what people pay me for. And it was easy to find out that Jeezy never gave him or anybody $1 million. This foundation that only survived for 3 or 4 years never even had $1 million in it. So they couldn't have given $1 million to one person.
JT was like, what, 100,000? I mean, it was
all together, all 4 years, that organization brought in about $400,000. Now, to Jeezy's credit, most of that money was spent on back to school events in Atlanta. None of it went to Jay Morrison. So I mean, it's laughable.
Yeah, just a photo op. I have a question for you. What is your advice in searching for an accountant of things like that's unconventional, that things people don't typically look for, and how to find a reputable accountant? Not just reviews or associations. Like, what are some tips you can pass on if you're looking to get a new accountant?
All right. So if you're talking about an accountant that's going to help you review investments that are untraditional investments, I want to make sure that I'm getting the question right.
Oh, no. I was just saying just an accountant in general. When I said, I was saying that, most people say, well, talk to friends who have recommendations, things.
Got you.
There may be some things you may know on the inside. Well, check this guy's this, or look if he's affiliated with this, those type of things.
Yeah. Well, number one thing, you want to make sure that whatever agency or government body that they are licensed with, because that's the number one thing, make sure that they're licensed. There's a lot of people who use the term accountant and they're not licensed. So you want to be licensed for whatever type of advice that accountant is giving you. So if you are looking for someone who's going to help you with a tax situation, you want to make sure that they're actually licensed. So you can be licensed in one of two ways. You can be a CPA, which is a license by the state to be able to provide tax advice, or you can find an enrolled agent, which is a license from the federal government to give tax advice. So number one thing, ask, are they a licensed accountant? Because you do not have to be licensed to do tax work. Make sure that they're licensed. And then after they tell you they're licensed, you can then follow up with whatever government body that they say licenses them and make sure that they're in good standing. And then you can check and see their online reviews.
Thanks, bro. That's all I really had, Bernie.
All right, appreciate you. Buck Dodgers back in the building. He says, "Sub JT, good to see a fellow accountant making it big. I majored in accounting in college back in the day. I do software testing now. Keep grinding. Right on. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Buck.
Appreciate you, Buck." That's funny. All right, we got Truth as I Know It in the building. What's going on?
Bernard, what's going on? I just had a few things to say. I agree with you about Boyce. Just because you have a PhD in finance, that doesn't mean you're qualified to give advice picking stocks or investing. That takes experience. That's true. The only pushback I would give is maybe in the wording. I guess maybe I'm taking your intent because that was your intent. But I think people in the audience may have taken that the wrong way, because the reality is that the field of financial advisors, they're not really experts. That's not even a field that can develop experts, because you're you're subject to the market. You can you can divide up a portfolio. You can protect people's assets. You can put enough alpha in that portfolio, and you can know what you're doing. But then in the blink of an eye, the market goes down 1,200 points. Well, if you weren't able to really protect your clients from that, then are you really an expert? So, a matter of fact, the book The Black Swan talks about that, and it talks about what fields are experts and what are not. And so that's one thing I wanted to say. Secondly, I went to Dr. Boyce Watkins' website. I always liked him. I remember back in the day when he was on Bill Riley's show. I always liked him, and I went to his Black Business School, and I thought this is all, it's good information. I read the curriculum. It's way overpriced, though. I think you get that same information at like half the price at a community college. But it's really just 1 and 200 level information that you find at a community college or at a junior college. And even then, anybody who's ran a business before, college can't prepare you for that. You can get your MBA in business. That's not going to teach you how to be a businessman. That's really different. And so, Boyce is one of these pro-blacks who, he's got his PhD in finance. And so I would say he is definitely an expert in finance, but that doesn't mean he's an expert in giving stock tips. That's two different things. But what he does is, that guy Charles Wu called him out. I mean, basically he's a pro-black capitalist. He puts on the pro-black face, and he talks to black people about, you'll see him in one of these conferences. In one of he has his own videos. He films himself saying it. When I was a professor, I was a slave, but I didn't know I was a slave. And I felt just like you. And it's like, man, you're trying to tap into their emotional centers and create this bond with these guys and say, I was just like you, and you can be just like me. And it's really just a sales job. It's a sales job selling good information with a pro-black patina. And what's so messed up about Boyce Watkins is he stays in the mud. I mean, and it's like he'll have a 3-hour video that should be 15 minutes, and he talks about everything else except for the subject line of the video. And I think in that way, you can tell Boyce, man, he leads a lot of black people astray.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, let's remember what Wu referred to him as: a character. That's what he's playing. He's playing a character in the media, online. So, and he uses that PhD, which I'm sure he worked extremely hard for, but he's using that PhD more as a prop to play the character.
Exactly.
The still notorious Alan Roger Curry in the building says, I strongly believe that it was Dr. Boyce Watkins' aspiration to be the African-American equivalent to author Robert T. Kiyosaki. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What do you think about that, JT? You think
I've got my beef with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because there's a lot of people who became entrepreneurs based on the inspiration of reading that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And for that, I applaud. But I want to make sure that I'm clear. That book is fiction. It's written as if it's an autobiography of his life, of events that actually happened. That book is fictional. So if most people who read that book and they don't become a wildly successful entrepreneur, don't feel bad, because that book is fiction. The people who read that book and ultimately become successful in business, they were going to be successful in business anyway. That book isn't what makes them successful, because it's fiction. Those things actually did not happen.
And Hey, JT, I like you, man, because you give it to him straight, no chaser, man. I like that. And I can tell just the way you speak, you're a successful businessman. This is how legitimate Black businessmen speak. They sound just like JT. They give it to you straight, no chaser. I appreciate you, homeboy.
Oh, man, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, you killing dreams, man.
Hey, I'm a professional dream killer. And here's a reason why, real quick. I had a client come to me in shambles. A man who worked his whole life at a utility company was able to build up almost $500,000 in retirement. But by the time he came to me, he was broke. The reason why is because out of nowhere, he got this wild idea to own a restaurant, and he dripped and took all the money that he had saved for his retirement, and now he has nothing. You know what that man is doing right now? He's working at Walmart. Okay? Now, I was able to help him out of his tax problem because he pulled that money out early. He had about a $30,000 or $40,000 tax bill on top of the fact that he lost money. Now, while I was successful in negotiating a settlement with the IRS to get him out of his tax problem, he still lost almost $500,000 that he should be living on in retirement instead of working at Walmart today. So hey, brother, if he'd came to me at first, I'd have killed that dream.
I had a question. You were saying earlier that you don't have to be licensed to be an accountant. I didn't know that. I thought you probably had to be licensed in every state.
You don't have to be licensed to prepare tax returns. Let me be clear on that, because people think everyone that prepares a tax return is an accountant, right? So you do not have to be licensed to professionally prepare a tax return or to professionally do paperwork for a client. The general things that people think an accountant does, you don't have to be licensed to do that. You have to be licensed to represent people before the IRS. You have to be licensed to be able to audit books, basically give your professional opinion on a company's financials to say, are they keeping up with the standards of how to recognize revenue and recognize expenses? That you have to be licensed for. But the general concept that people think what the work that accountants do, they help with paperwork and they file tax returns, you don't have to be licensed for that.
Now, they do have licensed tax preparers in some states, don't they?
In certain states, you cannot prepare a tax return for a fee without being either licensed or registered. So take me for an example. I'm a licensed financial advisor. I'm also, a part of that is being an enrolled agent. So let's take California for an example. In California, you cannot prepare a tax return for a fee without either being an attorney, a CPA, an enrolled agent, or you pass an exam that their governing body sets for people who don't fall in one of the top 3 spots. But that's not every state. There's some states where you don't have to have any experience, any education, any license. All you have to do is set up a shop, or not even a shop. You can do it from your home. You can prepare tax returns and get paid a fee and have no experience. That's why I say first, check and see if they're licensed.
That's good information.
All right. Before the Billions is asking, is there an actual rich dad, though?
You can look on YouTube. He was asked that question and he danced around the question. And he said, well, what's the difference? That tells me there probably wasn't. There might have been a few people in his life that he kind of cobbled together and kind of created this person, and he probably pulled out different theories. But no, it's fiction. It's a work of fiction, the same way that Harry Potter is a work of fiction.
I thought that was a great book. I didn't know till today that it was fiction. It was a great book.
It's a great book. It's got great concepts.
Yeah, great concepts. But then, when he came out with the infomercials and these, they have these seminars in your town.
Oh, don't get me on the seminars.
I was like, no, he didn't. No, to me, it just like he lost some credibility doing that, man. Yeah. I was like, oh no.
Absolutely.
Rocco Killer 7 in the building says he brags on his PhD, but then tells people college is not worth it. But his PhD is the only reason why people believe his financial advice. Yeah. Shout out to you. Very well put there.
I second that. Yes.
Yeah. Eric the Red in the building says, JT, I'm in the process of buying into a franchise. Do you assist in creating business plans or do you assist with securing an SBA loan?
No, I don't, because you don't want to be paying $300 an hour for that type of work, right? You can get someone like a bookkeeper or someone that's going to help you with your business plan. But understand this, your business plan needs to be your business plan, right? You should be able to go to someone to help you articulate the business plan and put it down on paper, or you need to work with an accountant that's going to help you articulate what the business plan is. But you shouldn't be going to someone in order to technically create the business plan, because understand, a franchise is buying a business in a box. Understand that you're not going to have the free will the same as like I do to do what I want to do. You are buying a business in a box. They're going to tell you exactly how it should look, how it should taste, how it should feel. And you are buying the process of whatever that franchise has in place. You're also buying into the reputation and the brand that this franchise already has. So you want to make sure that you're buying into something that you believe in and that you can become a part of and not feel like you're playing for someone else's team. And when it comes to SBA loans and securing that stuff, right now, getting an SBA loan is not very complicated. You shouldn't be paying anyone 20% of whatever you get or anything like that. It's extremely easy, and there are free resources that you can go to that certain banks and nonprofit organizations that will help you secure an SBA loan for free. You just have to go through whatever program that they have. Maybe they have a 12-week classes that you have to go through. And at the end of the class, or while you're going through the class, they will help you secure that SBA loan. So look for the free resources first. And those free resources should be from reputable places, talking about well-established nonprofit organizations. Look for the free resources first before you're willing to open up that wallet.
All right. Good stuff. Black Wizard, who was that?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I couldn't tell who was. Okay, well, hold on. Well, Black Wizard in the building, he says it's more like fiction. It's more fiction, like true to life biopics. They aren't completely false. They are loosely based on true events.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Who was that was trying to jump in?
That was me.
Oh, go ahead, Pablo. You got it.
Yeah, the person was asking about business plan. Most MBA students and MBA graduates can do that. Matter of fact, there are many people who do consulting doing just that, helping people write and develop business plans, and they're not that expensive. Right. So you can find someone like that. Matter of fact, if you want to go to my page or I'll hit up the chat and drop you my email. I got somebody that can help you if that's what you want.
Right.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Misogyn War. You can go ahead. Even though you got Dr. Noir.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's now official. I'm now a PhD. I'm a PhD.
You are for real?
Yeah. So it's
congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
What's your major?
It's physics.
Oh man, that's a tough degree there.
Right.
How's your job at the coffee shop?
Actually, I'm actually thankful to God that I didn't have to go down that route. A lot of my friends couldn't get jobs, so I'm glad I was able to get something immediately. But I wanted to kind of clarify a few things, what the brother is saying, and also I found Dr. Boyce Watkins' PhD, so I'm going to put it in the private chat. Now, I've noticed a couple of things here. So first, I looked at his conclusion. He's messing up basic spelling mistakes. He says, I know I'm just nitpicking, but there's some basic spelling mistakes in this PhD. Also, most of the times when you do a PhD, you got to come up with something new, like an original addition to knowledge. I've been reading through this. He's just analyzed. Looks like a dissertation for a third-year university student. There's nothing new he's actually showing up. And I'm not a hater or lover of him. I'm just being objective.
Right.
Anyone can read this dissertation. There's nothing that he's actually produced that's adding knowledge to the field. He's just basically taken some data and he's just analyzed it a little bit. That's it. So really,
well, hold on. Before you go forward, let me ask you this: seeing as you just got your PhD, to me, it always seems like that's actually something that's difficult to do nowadays. To actually add something new to a field. So whenever somebody say a PhD has to do that, how could every PhD student actually add something new to a field that's been established for 100 years? It's not that many new discoveries happening. I mean, so explain that one.
Good question, and I will actually answer it. I don't actually think about 70% of PhDs actually deserve that PhD. I want to put it out there. Most PhDs don't deserve it because usually what happens is the main investigator, the professor who's in charge of them, is the one just actually telling them what to do, and their own ideas is what the PhD student is actually doing. Most times the actual individual is not coming up with the plans themselves. So I would say 70% of PhDs are not worth the PhD. They should be given a master's of research, not a PhD. They're not adding anything to the field. So you asked, how do you do it? What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to spend about 4 years. America, it can be 5 or 7 years. You're supposed to spend the first 2 years doing experiments, and then the next 2 years is you're supposed to have that epiphany, that moment you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then you're able to attach that to some other weird, obscure thing and then connect the two. It's supposed to be that moment. Most PhDs don't get that moment. So as you said, it's hard.
So since your degree is in your PhD is in physics, so you got to tell us about how you had your epiphany about how you actually caught lightning in a bottle. We need to hear how you actually did it.
Right. Okay.
So what did you do?
Okay. So I was working on solar cells, so solar energy materials, right? And the main contribution I did is so there's two types of materials. There's materials that conduct electricity, and there's another material that uses holes. So holes is just the opposite of electrons. It's a positive electron. Think of it that way.
Over my head.
All right. Okay. So basically, I invented the whole the whole part of the material that didn't exist before.
The what?
So basically, in the material solar cells research, basically, you need two materials. One is called the N-type material. That's where electricity transports. Then the other one is called the P-type. That's where the holes transport. In my material, there was no one who invented the whole version. So I managed to invent a whole one that works, and I was able to add that knowledge of how the science of how it actually works. So
you invented something,
right?
Yeah.
Pretty big.
That's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm just
you got a patent on this invention?
I'm waiting until the thesis gets officially published in the university's website, and now I'm applying for research grants so I can actually start up the company properly. So yeah, 100%.
Oh, good stuff.
For the record, I don't believe you. I smell bullshit on this. I don't believe that at all. But carry on.
It's good. To the person that I'm an accountant, so to me, sound good. Okay.
Hey,
me and
not bad for somebody working at a coffee shop.
Some of my people they can clarify if that what I'm saying is true.
Oh no, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe you.
Yeah, I can clarify that part. So basically, most PhDs don't deserve their PhD. They don't actually come up with anything new. It's just their professor's work, and they're just doing the experiment. They're like glorified lab rats or whatever the equivalent is. And reading through Dr. Boyce again, I'm not a hater or lover. It's just I noticed there's really nothing that he's saying that is new to the field of finance. He's just kind of explaining some. He's just analyzing data and just telling you what the data means. There's nothing that he's, and also he's kind of lying. He's not the first finance economics PhD person. There's a Nobel Prize winner. The only Black person to win a Nobel Prize in science is an economics major from the Caribbean islands.
I want to clarify what he says. His claim to fame is that he was the only black man to get a PhD in 2002. That's his claim to fame. The only one in the year 2002 to get a PhD in finance. That's what he said. I remember because that's the year I graduated from high school.
Right, but that's just an obscure thing. I could say I'm the only black man to get a PhD in 2020 in the field of solar cell engineering. I mean, it's like,
right. As long as you put qualifiers before it, you can be the first anything.
Right. It just doesn't make sense to me. And just before I finish off my point, I do want to come and say, actually, a lot of Boyce, what he does is he does that kind of pandering thing. He keeps making excuses. For example, I just found the link where he blames Bill O'Reilly for why he didn't get tenure. No, he didn't get tenure because there is no research. I've looked through his portfolio. He wasn't doing any work to actually to become a professor. I think America is a bit different. In America, I think you call people professors, but he's not a professor. To be a professor, you have to earn it, and you have to get a doctorate in science to be a professor. He's more like a lecturer. I think there's just a culture there.
I think someone put that in the chat. He was like a guest lecturer. I think the term that they use. Yeah,
he wasn't a professor, and to be honest, he didn't do any research, didn't publish papers, didn't get citations. I have more citations than he does, and I just finished my PhD. So, that doesn't really make a lot of sense there. So he didn't do his work. He didn't build his portfolio. That's why he didn't get his tenure, basically. You don't just get tenure because you're teaching. You have to actually add value to the field, which actually, as I can see, the evidence is he wasn't doing in a consistent manner.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Boyce expert, but based on what I've been able to see, I believe you're correct.
Yeah, so which is interesting. And also he keeps blaming people. He keeps shifting the blame to other people instead of taking responsibility and fixing that problem head on. I respect that he's successful. He's done his thing. He did his old rich dad, poor dad, as someone else mentioned earlier. Then, giving basic financial advice to people. Maybe helps for some people. I don't know. I can't say. Right. But at the end of the day, what he's claiming is not justified by his actual escalates. He's not doing exactly what he says that he's doing. And I think he needs to kind of reach a point. I mean, he can just get the certification. It's not that easy. I mean, if he got a PhD, he'll be able to go and study and get his license.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's not what he wants to do, right? And I don't begrudge him for not wanting to be a financial advisor. That's not what he wants to do. He doesn't want to have to actually deal with clients, to have to actually dig into the weeds and try to solve a financial problem that someone has. Understand, what you read in the book, it sounds good. If a client comes to you with a problem, you do B. Yeah, that sounds good. But when you actually have to deal with people, their emotions, their bad habits, their family dynamics, the book doesn't solve for that. You actually have to have experience. You actually have to have patience. You actually have to have the soft skills to be able to manage that problem, and at the same time, give your clients the highest level of service and help them. This isn't for everyone to do. So the main reason why is not that he doesn't have the ability to pass the exams, because the exams honestly aren't that tough. Anyone who has a PhD in finance should be able to pass a financial advisor exam.
So can I ask you a question then, brother? Because I think you're hitting on something interesting here. It seems that he doesn't have the ability to navigate the world as a man. That's why he keeps creating. I'll give qualifiers to that, Bernard. Okay, he's winning in a very kind of created, like a self-created cult. He has his own cult of his own followers that follow him and see him as this king. But in the actual real world out there, he wasn't able to navigate the spaces. He wasn't able to, as you said, get the soft skills to interact with the mainstream society, to engage with his peers, and then build things from that kind of perspective. He's sort of dealing with a very sort of collected group that already engages with him in that way.
Yeah, I will say this.
Well, I see it I see it a little bit different, I guess. Okay. Well, I see it the same, but I'd probably describe it a little bit different because I followed Boyce. I remember him being on Fox News and giving these wild interviews, and then And then he'd start kind of crybabying about it later and complaining at Syracuse why, that they wouldn't give him tenure. I've always liked Boyce, and I want to support Boyce. So kind of the way I understand it is, to be a black man and get your PhD in finance, he was already isolated as a black man. He probably saw plenty of racism, in school and on the job. So then he develops this pro-black attitude, and he wants to work with black people. Well, when you have a PhD in finance, if you're going to become a financial advisor, you're going to get recruited into a financial house, an investment bank, and they're going to say, we want you to work with our high net worth investors. As a black man with this PhD, if they don't have, $500,000 in their portfolio, liquid, then then you don't deal with them. So then even if he did want to be a financial advisor, he will probably have very few black clients. And so he loves black people. He wants to be around black people. Lord knows when you got your PhD in finance, you were a nerd. I mean, how accepted was he ever accepted in the black community? So he's probably got this longing in his heart to have a connection with black people. So he just said, fuck it. I'm just going to go full pro-black. I'm going to build a business on pro-blackness. I'm going to involve myself with people who are pro-black, and I'm going to help people from the bottom up. And that's why, you go to look at his black business school. It's 100 and 200 level information. Why? Because that's what his people need. And so he does have this cult-like following. He does deal with people who are lower on the socioeconomic status, and he's got so much more information that he can give people that but they can't accept it because they're just not there yet. So I think that he's doing the best he can. But then here's the rub, man, is that, part of pro-black culture and just black culture in general is what we identify with the lower socioeconomic status. And so, the more money you have, the more economic mobility you have, the more education you have. In a lot of ways, the less black you are. And so you kind of have to get dragged into the mud, and now all of a sudden, that's just part of being black, and part of being pro-black is still being angry and fighting and being messy. And so he's doing actually a good job of kind of putting that all together and then building his life for himself. But when you look at it, it's like, Boyce, man, that ain't it though, bro.
Yeah, bro. Can I respond to you quick?
Yeah, you got it. Truth. Like somebody, I think Sir Tyson in the chat called you Boyce Watkins Defense Force.
Yeah, can I respond to that quick?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I had a similar experience. I'm a black man. I was in physics. In fact, there wasn't any other black men in that whole field in my university, and the only other black person was a woman. But that's another story. What I did notice between Boyce Watkins and also the women in my thing is I started the Black and Minority Ethnic Physics and Engineering Association to kind of help brothers who were there, like in the lower classes, like undergraduates and stuff, to be able to progress in their career. So if you want to tell me you want to go down the consultation field with a company, I'll help you out. If you want to go into academia, I'll help you out. What I noticed is a lot of the women, especially, is that they didn't necessarily want a solution, which is what reminds me of Boyce. Meaning, right? If you want to go up in academia, so if you want to become a lecturer, then a researcher, and then a professor, a satisfied professor, and then tenureship, you need to go through a certain things. First, you need to publish your research papers, publish or perish. That's how you make it in academia, publish or perish. What I noticed is a lot of the women, they didn't want to do that. They wanted me to bring in people to come speak to them about how unfair the whole environment is, as opposed to actually doing what it takes to get you there. So I think Boyce couldn't actually work with people in his field, and he couldn't just kind of sit down, try to make that kind of partnership with people and then get from grounds up. Because the good thing about this field is that people respect competence. If you are doing something, there's no way that they can reject that doing, no matter what it is. He could have gone and found a black school and then become a professor there, doing that small work slowly. But I think he just didn't want to go down that route. He wanted to be more comfortable, as you said, brother, around his own people. But in reality, the world's never going to give you what you want. You still are part of this world, and you just need to somehow find a way to engage with it.
Right. And real quick, before we move on to that point, I just want to touch on to something he said. I accept the premise that Boyce has a high degree of love for the Black community, and the work that he does is targeted to the lower income part of the Black community. So that's why a lot of the knowledge and the stuff that he gives is on a very basic level. But I do want to make sure that I'm clear. Even if Jay-Z, Beyonce, and P. Diddy all came to Boyce today and wanted to hire him as their financial advisor, not just because he's not qualified or licensed, could he not do the job? He doesn't have he wouldn't know what to do. He's never done it. Now, does he have the mental capability to learn how to do it? Yes, with time and experience, he probably would. But as of this moment, even if he had all the Black billionaires and multimillionaires of the world come to Boyce and have Boyce and want Boyce to be their advisor, he would not know what to do. He would have to reject the job.
Hey, real quick.
Facts.
As an HBCU alumnus, if Boyce Watkins were to go to an HBCU, let's say Howard or North Carolina A&T, Hampton, Tuskegee, somewhere like that, Florida A&M, they would have an expectation that he would be one of their star professors, which carries with it going back to the research, the grant writing, being able to bring in money to the university. That would also, they would have that expectation. And people have told them this, hey, why don't you go to an HBCU and do this? And he rejects it.
Of course.
And that's the reason why he rejects it, because it would be even more hard to hide at an HBCU because they would expect more.
Yes, he'd actually have to do the work. He would have to actually do research. He'd actually have to do studies and not just talk or regurgitate something that he read in a book.
You know what Boyce would be good at? Let's say you had a Bernard Riley Investments, and we all worked for Bernard Riley. He owned it. What we would do, we'd say, let's bring in Boyce Watkins. Like we do the technical work. We're the analysts. We're reading charts. We're watching the news. We're reading reports. We're the guys behind the computer screens. What we do is we say, you know what? We need to get some whales in here. We need to get, we need 100 NBA players, 100 NFL players. What we're going to do, we're going to hire Boyce Watkins and his PhD, and he's going to actually bring the people in. And we go, Boyce, you don't have to get behind a computer. You don't have to do any investments. You're going to be the face of this organization. Don't worry about making any investments. See, now that's what he'd be good at. He's great at marketing.
That's referred to as a solicitor. Right. So if you ever actually had to be licensed as an advisor, there's certain type of advisor groups. Right. You would actually be licensed in the RIA, the Registered Investment Advisor firm. You would basically be a solicitor advisor, someone who doesn't do any of the portfolio management, someone that doesn't really do any of the actual work that a person thinks a financial advisor do. You are 100% client facing, and it's your job to be a solicitor, to sell the firm, to bring in the whales. So that's exactly what he would be probably great at. Not the actual financial advising, but as a solicitor, someone who brings in clients, a rainmaker, if you will.
Yeah. And with Boyce, he'd get a Series 7. You go, Boyce, we're going to coach you. You can get your Series 7, but you're not going to have to use it, though, okay?
No.
You're never going to have to use it. And so, because being a financial advisor and it's like being a coach. A lot of times you think, well, he was a great player, so it would make sense that he'd be a great coach. And what you find is that great players a lot of times don't make good coaches at all. Because coaches is about experience, man. You don't have to be a great player to be a great coach, but you need coaching experience. Your best coach isn't going to be a rookie coach. It's going to be the coach that's been coaching 25 years because he's been through the wars. He's seen the battles. He saw Batum last night when he didn't switch with a second and a half on the clock on that lob at the rim. You got to switch that. You know what I'm saying? Because
that comes from it. That comes from experience. What I've seen, some of the best coaches are not the star players. And here's the reason why. When you're a star player, stuff comes easy to you. You're naturally gifted. When you are the backup player, you have to know every step it takes within the mechanics of, pivoting with the ball and everything. And that's why you're a better coach than the star player, because the star player just does. It's effortless. They just do it. The backup player, they know every step you have to take to be able to do it. And that's why they're able to coach others.
Yeah. Yeah, role players are normally much better coaches than star players, and you are absolutely right. I think that was Truth that said, with 0.8 seconds on the clock, you gotta switch every screen. It don't matter who's on who, just switch. But I was rooting for Phoenix, so I was happy with it. But I was like, oh, they messed up. They messed up big right there. But Oswald in the building with the $20 super chat. Appreciate you very much. Coming through with the $20 super. Also, shout out to Mr. C who hit the Cash App, put $40 on the Cash App. Appreciate it. All right, we're about to pass the mic to Alonzo. Almost messed up your name. Pass the mic to Alonzo. What the hell did I say? Hold on. I'm trying to read the rest of your name. Hold on.
The All-Star Advisor.
Alonzo Hall, the All-Star Advisor. Right on. Shout out to you. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Salute. What's going on? I work in the same field as JT. I'm not an EA as he is. So in terms of the taxes, I do it a little different. I happen to have my P10. So I do prepare. But if you're looking for fuller representation, you would go see someone like JT. The beauty of it is something that JT actually mentioned that Boyce would be that person who brings in whales. But another thing that we don't realize, especially when it comes to Black businesses, like he doesn't promote aerial investments a lot. And Aerial Investments is one of the very few Black-owned firms. It's 37 years old, and they're a huge investment firm. For example, Black Lives Matter money could have been managed there as opposed to wherever it is, Morgan Stanley or whomever. But beautiful things like, there's also, like JT was saying, niches. So I might work with a certain type of client. He may work with a certain type of client. So that $500,000 person in their portfolio might be someone whom I don't work with. So I send them to JT. Hey, look, JT, this is a person whose assets are this is more along your lines. And then he sends me someone, hey, listen, this person's assets are boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah.
So we actually cross to each other. That's something that even Boyce probably doesn't do. For example, I was mentioning being at the CAAFP, Conference of African American Financial Professionals, past August 20, 2020. This year it's actually going to be in Georgia. So be on the lookout for that. JT, if you can, I'll share my info in the back chat because I want to get with you anyhow. And we can add value propositions to each other's practices. That was basically the purpose of me getting up here. I wanted to speak to you.
That's what's up. Okay, yes, sir.
I also want to shout out Bernard for doing what you do and bringing me up, and shout out to the K Business Podcast for actually introducing me to you, because that's how I came across you, JT. And shout out to what you do, Bernard, for being a springboard, allowing us to speak. I do have a channel of my own. It's literally Alonzo Hall. And if you look for me on Instagram, it's ADH Wealth Solutions.
All right, cool. That's what's up. I'll drop the link to your channel.
Thank you. I'll put it in the back.
All right. Well, if I just type in Alonzo Hall, I'm assuming it's going to pop up.
I don't know.
Yep. You're the first thing that popped up. All right, cool. Cool. Just subscribe.
Shoot me an email. We'll talk.
No doubt.
All right.
All right, y'all can go check. There go the link right there. Y'all can check the brother out. But all right, cool. Shout out to Sick Lid that says Boyce Watkins can never be the Wolf of Wall Street. Snuggle668 in the building says it's pretty impressive how many black men in this space are into finance and can propel people to do well. So now how can people make money? Thank you, Snuggles, for the super chat. And yes, there's a lot of brothers in this space who are into a great number, a myriad of different things. So yeah, we got brothers from all different walks of life, field, and backgrounds in this space. So I do love that when brothers
can I add something to that real quick?
Out of nowhere. We'll make it brief because we're about to pass it to Little Big Nate.
Yeah, just 10 seconds. If you don't have a brokerage account, if you don't have an account with Fidelity or Merrill Edge or one of these online accounts, do not be intimidated. Opening up a brokerage account online is easier than opening up a bank account, a checking account. It's simple. So just go ahead and make it happen. And then as soon as you open up that account, you'll see that investing in Wall Street is not complicated at all. Do not be intimidated.
No, it's not.
All right, Little Big Nate, you got the floor. You got the mic.
Appreciate that, Bernard. JT, I'm not familiar with your channel. I went by, checked it out. I subscribed. Always, appreciate a brother involved in the world of finance. All the other gentlemen, Pablo on the platform, how you doing? Bernard, appreciate you letting me up. Just had a question, JT. Mm-hmm. When considering a man has a advanced degree in finance, if he owns a business, I want to be mindful of how he structured it, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'd like you to do, if you could, sir, speak to Boyce's troubled relationship with Black women that have been under his employment. And also, again, only if you're comfortable talking about that. Right. And also, what do you feel about a man who would build a business? It seems largely based off the insecurities of Black women and their deluded thinking. Wow. It appears that's what he's honestly like. He refuses many times to hold them accountable. The whole. I'm not suggesting his marriage to Dr. Alicia is fraudulent in any way, but it's also at the end of the day, it's a net gain for him because he's appealing to his business base, his customer base, which are usually going to be older, probably single Black women. Right. Well, and okay. Go ahead.
I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in Boyce. I know bits and pieces to the things that you're referencing, the issues that he's had with coworkers or employees in the past in his financial media company and the things that he's done. But I will say this: the skill set that it takes to be a successful financial advisor is not the skill set that I've seen him demonstrate. And here's a clear example. When it comes to being a good financial advisor, you can't be someone who is willing to tell a client what they want to hear, right? Earlier in the show, I was described as a dream killer, and I wear that as a badge of honor because I'm going to tell my client exactly what my real opinion is of whatever investment opportunity or financial plan that they want. I'm going to tell them the actual truth to what it should be. I'm going to give them reality. And then based on the reality, I'm going to provide options and recommendations to help get them towards what their goal is. That's what a good financial advisor is going to do. The skill set and the things that I have witnessed of Boyce in the operations of his company does not lend towards being a good advisor because he is willing to placate to his audience, to tell them what they want to hear, to be a cheerleader regardless of the realities of what's going on. So that's something I feel comfortable in being able to talk about because that's what my limited knowledge of Boyce lends me towards. So yeah, the skill set that I've seen him display on the building and the managing of his brand, his company, it shows that he is willing to placate to an audience and also have some things that I would consider a conflict of interest, because placating to his audience helps to build his brand and build towards his own personal revenue and net worth. While as an advisor, I'm a fiduciary, right? And being a fiduciary means I am legally required to take the interest of my client above myself. So if there's an opportunity where maybe I can make a little bit more money doing this instead of doing that, I will always pick what's best in the client's situation and take the less money, because that's what it means to be a true advisor.
Understood. I had another statement I wanted to run by you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from what I understand, Dr. Watkins's net worth is anywhere between $7 and $8 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talked about his brand, correct?
Right.
So, and I'm not trying to knock him by saying this. It's just the God honest truth. It's something I wonder about.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem to do much with it aesthetically.
Mm-hmm.
O'Shea just had a content he uploaded how Boyce doesn't care about his thumbnails.
Right.
He literally doesn't appear to care about them. Number one. Number two, hold tight, bro. Work with me now.
Okay.
Number two, he broadcasts from what appears to be a bathroom. It looks like there's a shower curtain behind him. You're running a brand. You're supposedly worth between $7 and $8 million. This is what offends me, JT.
Mm-hmm.
That when black men get this level of money, if you are primarily servicing black people,
mm-hmm.
maybe he doesn't feel the need to step up his production game. Why do we as black people, when we service them, think so little of them as to give them such a low quality product aesthetically?
I got you. I know exactly what you mean. I've had in my journey from being, a college student to graduating, getting my license, getting clients. As I've grown, my clientele has grown. But I've known early in the very early days and stages of my career, I've had clients who maybe had a restaurant in the black community and it wasn't the cleanest. Food was great, but it wasn't the cleanest restaurant, right? But here's my one defense of Boyce, in a sense, not a true defense, but this is my explanation of why maybe the quality of the brand isn't where it should be. Nothing in his education in finance would lead me to believe that he should understand the importance of branding and marketing and having a higher quality product to give to your clientele. There's nothing within his education or his experience that would lend me to believe that he within himself knows how to do it. Now, he should understand that when you don't have a particular skill set within business, then you need to hire out and bring in someone that's going to help you bring that quality product that your clientele deserves. I take myself as an example. I recently moved from one location in downtown St. Louis to a newer location. Why? Because that particular office building that I was in stopped matching my brand. When I first moved in that office building, it matched my brand when I was at that stage. Now it's time for me to bring up the quality of my brand. So I left that office building, went to a new office building. But I think I personally have probably a more broad education within business. I mean, I have a degree in accounting. I have a degree in mass communications and in marketing. I have a certification in financial planning. So I think mine is more broad, so I can see weaknesses in brands and say, okay, bring it up. While Boyce was trained to be a college professor in finance. He hasn't been a college professor in finance for years. So having a brand that doesn't match the imprint that he has kind of makes sense to me.
But okay, how do we balance that against the fact that every other word out of his mouth is how much he loves black people? Why aren't you giving Black people something of quality and substance in the aesthetics that you present from your brand?
He's just not trained in understanding the importance of that. He's trained in understanding how to regurgitate what he read in financial studies books to students. And I think he does that pretty well. I don't think he does that in the top 10% of people who are qualified to be college professors in the field of finance, but I think he does it better than a majority of the population. But as far as understanding branding and every detail of how to really build and grow a business, hell, look at it this way. He's at where he's at. You know, if I Google his net worth and it says that it's $7 or $8 million, for him, that's an extreme success. But that's peanuts for a fund manager. A fund manager can make that in a week. A fund manager, the things that people actually go to school for to study finance, most finance students don't go to school to become college professors. They go to school to get into the actual field of financial services, and a hedge fund manager can make Boyce Watkins' net worth in a week.
Last question. Don't mean to hog the panel or anything.
Oh, no, you good. Go ahead.
Okay. So what is your opinion? I don't know how familiar you are with his content.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about mixing financial advice or investment advice with mainstream social media gossip? How does that, honestly, like, how does that work?
Okay, so here's my response to that. As a financial planner, we are taught that it is a neglect of our duty whenever we step outside of the realm of our expertise. We are taught that, you know, finance is a broad structure, it's a broad subject matter. And whenever you run into an area within that subject matter that you do not have a firm grasp of, it is our duty to hire out and seek counsel from an expert in that field. If we do not do that, then we're really neglecting our duty to the client. If you go to my channel, I react to a lot of different things in popular culture and within social media, but I keep it within the realm of my expertise of financial planning.
Gotcha.
If I would step outside of that, I'm just talking out my ass at that point. And I see that Boyce does that a lot. He speaks on subjects where he is not an expert in. He's just taking on his own personal experience and anecdotal evidence of things he thinks should happen. And that just reinforces the major point that I'm trying to make, is that Boyce is not a financial expert in the realm of being able to give anybody financial advice. He's someone who talks. He's a professional talker with a PhD in finance.
So I got a question. I got a question for JT.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think when a financial professional does that, when they go off the beaten path of finance or financial expertise, or even let's say you're a financial academic,
Mm-hmm.
like Professor Watkins, and you go off the beaten path of financial academics, does it then begin to erode your brand of the finance education piece?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Whenever you step outside of the scope of your expertise within your field, you are guaranteeing yourself with failure. I mean, what are the odds that me as a financial advisor, that I can all of a sudden become a fitness coach and have thousands and thousands of followers, and I'm going to not have some sort of malpractice? I'm not going to accidentally tell someone a particular way to work out and lift weights that's not going to hurt them. That's going to happen because I'm not an expert in that field. I may be good at knowing what works for me, the way I work out, what builds my shoulders, what builds my biceps. But I'm not an expert in the field to be able to tell a vast majority of people who I've never met, who I've never worked one-on-one with, and I don't have the education in doing it. So yeah, when you step out of your scope of expertise and you start to talk about stuff based on your personal experience, you are going to cause harm. That's why within the field of financial planning, if you're not an expert in it, if you're not qualified in it, you bring in outside help, outside counsel to help the client in the area that you're weak in. So yeah, it's going to hurt your brand because now you have dissatisfied clients because you were stepping out on a ledge that you never should have been on in the first place.
I've got another question. What if let's say I was your client, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I came to you with a very intimate, personal decision I was about to make that was going to harm me financially, like very personal, very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Do you advise on something like that, or do you strictly keep it in the business realm? Only business decisions.
It depends. If you're talking about something personal that's going to affect your finance, I'm going to speak on the repercussions of that decision on you financially. I'm going to keep it right there. Yeah.
Let's run with this then.
Okay.
So I'm I don't know, PhD in finance.
Mm-hmm.
And I met this girl in college when I was in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't interested in me at the time. I pined over her for approximately 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
She went on to do well for herself. She married. She had 3 children. Everything was good. But then she divorced. She became available.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever contacted who, then we linked up. And now I'm thinking about marrying her, JT.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she's a divorced, almost 50-year-old woman with 3 children. Would you advise me to do it, not to do it, or would you just stay out of it?
This is what I would do. I would lay out the possible repercussions on how that's going to affect my client financially. I would let them know that, hey, let's say they're a very successful person. They're a very successful person. Right. They're a very successful person with, let's say, maybe a net worth of about $8 million.
That was a very, hold on, that was a very specific hypothetical, little big name.
I know.
Right. So let's say this person just happens to have a net worth of about $8 million. I would counsel that client and tell them, hey, congratulations on meeting someone who you believe is your soulmate. But let's take a look at what's going to happen financially. Number one, I'm going to counsel the client and say, okay, if you're going to move forward with this, congratulations, number one. But number two, we need to make sure we have a prenup in place. We need to make sure that all of your premarital assets are protected. Because if I'm going to go out and look at the stats of marriage, and we say that half of them are going to end in divorce, I got to make sure that I'm putting in place what's important to protect my client financially, regardless of how they feel emotionally in the moment. I have to let him know and look, hey, if we don't do this prenup, this is how your net worth is going to be affected. And if your potential spouse is unhappy about the idea of the prenup, then make me the bad guy. Tell them that your financial advisor has already drawn it up. We've already looked at it. He's not going to allow me to move forward unless we go ahead and do this prenup. I'm going to give them all the worst case scenarios and show them how that one decision that seems isolated and romantic, how it actually affects them financially. And if they move forward with it, we're going to take the steps required to protect my client.
Great. Good deal.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Lonzo Hall, thank you for the 2 super chats. Appreciate that. Appreciate you dropping 5 on it. Sick Lid in the building with another one. He says, in my opinion, everyone should have a Roth IRA. I have mine invested with Fidelity. FZROX. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. And also, who we got in here? Tomcat says he voted for Trump, so he's all right with me. Really? Are you talking about Lil Big Nate or or Boyce. Well, I can't see Boyce Watkins voting for Trump. I strongly doubt.
Right.
I strongly doubt that one. I can't see that one at all. He would get canceled. He would get canceled.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He wouldn't let that cat out the bag.
Right. There's no way he would make that public in the event that he did that. I was just about to go to Pablo. Pablo been quiet for a minute there. But yeah,
I add another question if you'd like.
Yeah, no, good. No, I'm loving all your questions and your very, very specific hypotheticals. Yeah.
Okay. Brother, I see a wedding ring on your left ring finger. Salute.
Yes, sir.
I celebrate marriage. Absolutely do. Just not, state sanctioned marriage, but marriage is essential for a successful civilization. No, I'm serious.
Gotcha.
What if do you ever have very successful male clients come to you asking, should I get married? I mean, with the whole MGTOW movement, red pill knowledge, things of that nature,
it does happen. I mean, normally, as their financial advisor, I'm normally not the first to know, right? Now, they'll ask me, when they're in the process, like they think they're going to propose, they haven't proposed yet. We're probably going to have a conversation about, the budget for the ring and stuff like that. But then I have to come in with the balance of, okay, if they're a client that, has a decent net worth, we're going to talk about the prenup. We're going to talk about maybe even setting up some trust and different things of that nature to protect them. But normally I'm not in on the should you or should you not conversation. I'm normally on the back end of how are we going to structure it financially for it to make the most sense.
Gotcha. There are so many subjects, in particular when dealing with Black America, if the subject isn't sexy, it's hard to get Black people to show any interest in it. How do you, I don't want to make any assumptions. Do you attempt to get the knowledge of finance into the hands of Black Americans, or do you not even concern yourself with that and just like, hey, I'm out here doing what I do, and those who want to listen to it or will listen to it, and those who don't, whatever?
Well, that's probably one of the top reasons why my YouTube channel exists. I wanted to be able to bring concepts of financial planning to popular culture within the Black community, because that's I want to say 90-85% of my subscribers are a part of that community. So yeah, I do feel a great need to bring financial planning and those basic core concepts to the community. And I do it in a way where I incorporate pop culture, I incorporate different subject matters that are in social media. I try to make it somewhat funny. It's my natural reaction. It's just that people like my best friend and my wife say it's funny. So I took the chance of saying, okay, I'm gonna cut on the webcam and record it and see what people think. But yeah, I do believe that you actively have to have a plan on bringing it into pop culture. This is something that the Association of African American Financial Advisors talk about, which I'm a part of, and the National Association of Black Accountants. It's something that we actively talk about is what's the strategy to bring financial knowledge and financial planning to the popular culture, because with anything, it's about marketing. You have to market it. You have to make it attractive to your target audience. It can't just be dry and we say those who are wise enough to know that they need this knowledge will come. We have a long history that proves that's not the case.
Wizard X in the building says Boyce voted third party Libertarian Party. I don't know if that's accurate. Tomcat quadrupled down and says, oh yes, he was a real Trump advocate. Go check for yourself. I still don't believe it. Not gonna believe it. There's no way that he would still be, he wouldn't have a following.
Not with your base being older single Black mothers, no.
No.
And I'm not trying to be insulting, but that's his base,
What percentage of your clients are Black?
I would say when it started out, it was 100 when I first started. As I started to grow and my brand started to grow in the city that I'm in, I would say as of today, we're probably around 65%. Still a majority.
Okay.
That's awesome, though. That's absolutely awesome. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Not at all.
My biggest problem with quote unquote black business is calling your business a black business. Yeah, we should stop doing that. Your business is a business. You can be a businessman that happens to be black,
right?
But you should want everybody's money.
Yeah. I am a financial advisor first that happens to be black.
Exactly.
And now the culture that I grew up in and the culture that I'm currently a part of is obviously going to have an influence on every part of my life, but I still hold myself to the highest level of the profession first.
Okay. Exclusive Entertainment says, Bernard Riley, you guys should not speak on what you do not know. Boyce was Trump, then Biden, then independent. I am not speaking on what I don't know. Somebody super chatted something and I said I don't believe it. That's not speaking on it by saying I just don't believe it. I can't confirm or deny it. I just don't believe it. You act like that was in the title. Like, no.
I got another question.
I still don't believe it. I still don't believe until I see it that he publicly endorsed Trump on his YouTube channel. I'll put that out there. I don't believe that he publicly endorsed Trump on his YouTube channel until I see hard evidence of it. That's all. All right, go ahead, little Big Nate.
Got another question, JT.
Mm-hmm.
Your opinion on the phenomena that is cryptocurrency.
Okay. Right. Little Big Nate, thank you, man. You coming with
I just slid in here, bro.
Man, come on. Like,
I'm a man. I'm sorry, dog.
No, you killing it.
It's a great question. Great question. This is how I evaluate it, and this is how I look at it. Cryptocurrency is a new form of technology. Okay, that's what it is. Yes. Now, for those of us who are old enough to remember, I was in high school when this was happening, but I still remember. I remember the .com bubble. And the .com bubble was basically the concept of the internet was new in the late 90s, early 2000s. The whole concept of internet was new. The average person had no idea about what the internet was and how you can make money on the internet. So there was a buzz, and because a buzz was created, a lot of businesses were able to pop up and claim that they are an internet business. Pets.com, all these other internet businesses popped up, and because of the hype, people were throwing their money at these internet businesses. Second a company would go public, they would just throw their money at it and buy up as much stock as possible, without looking at the fundamentals of the company. Did the company have a true value proposition? Did it actually have a business plan that made sense? Did it look like that company was actually going to generate more revenue than the expenses that it would have to take? That's how you should truly evaluate a investment, especially when you're dealing with equities. Now, there was a bust because a lot of those companies really didn't have a value proposition. The big kings still survived, like Amazon.com, because it actually had a value, right? And a lot of people lost money because they just threw their money at something because it had .com at the end of it, and it was part of this new internet thing. Now, how do I relate that to cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a new technology the same way that the internet was. Will there be companies or coins that exist after the bubble burst that still have some sort of functionality, some sort of usability that is going to retain its value or even grow its value? Absolutely, there will be. But the question is, which ones will it be? And most of the people who are investing in cryptocurrencies right now, they're not looking at the fundamentals of the companies. They're going off the hype, what we would refer to as speculation. And there's going to be a bust of that bubble. A few good companies, a few good coins will still survive and take up a large share of the marketplace. But the question is, which ones? We don't know. And to put your money into invest in speculation, I would advise my client to not invest more than 3% of their portfolio if they're investing based on speculation. Now, if you're really looking at the white paper, then you're really into the cryptocurrency and you know that this particular coin has a usability that has value in it and you believe in it, then maybe we'll have a conversation of opening up more than 3% of your portfolio to it. But if you're just doing it because of the hype, you might be left holding the bag.
Or what are you doing? You personally,
I'm gonna let you into a little bit of insight. Me personally, I bought some Bitcoin less than $1,000. I bought some Bitcoin back in 2018. I haven't touched it. I haven't touched it, and I look at it maybe once a quarter because this is money that I don't care about. So that's extremely low, right? It's money I don't care about.
If you don't mind me asking, what was a coin selling for in 2018?
Man, you know what? I don't remember. I just remember the dollar amount that I put in, and I remember it was less than $1,000, and I can tell you that it almost multiplied by 10 at one point when I looked at it.
Wow.
You know, if I would have known that was going to happen, I wouldn't have put in about 1,000. I probably would have put in about 100,000. But I didn't know. You know, I don't want to have hindsight remorse, right? And say, "Oh yeah, of course it was going to go up." I had no idea.
Wow. What?
Go ahead. You got it.
Okay, I appreciate it, dog. I'm serious, and please, anytime you want me to shut up.
No. You got it. I spent the first hour asking him questions, so you got fresh questions. So come on with it.
I appreciate it.
I'm sitting there looking at my finances right now. seeing what my little money doing.
Good deal. If a young brother came to you and said, AJT, my grandmother just died and she left me $5,000 cash. I'm 24 years old. Never had $5,000. My impulse is to go buy some really nice fits and see, how many women I can mac on with this shit, but what would you advise a young man who just came across $8,000 cash? What would you advise him to do?
All right, so I would tell them, and this is normally what I tell any clients, especially clients in the sports and entertainment arena. This is what I tell them. You have a couple of choices right now. You can live like a king in the short term. Be the man for the short term. And with $5,000, you'll probably be the man for about a week. Best, you can probably stretch that out to a month.
Exactly.
Best, you might stretch it out to a month. Or you can do something smarter with that money and you can live like a king for the rest of your life. So do you want to be a king for a month, or rather, do you want to be a prince for the rest of your life? That's the way that I put it. You can be a king for a day, or you can be a prince for the rest of your life. Now, after I kind of communicate that point to them, then we take a look at the actual things that are relevant to their life. I have to ask them questions like, are you in debt? Do you have debt, right? So do you have credit card debt and stuff like that?
Assuming he has no debt.
If he has no debt, then we'll probably be better off to put him on some sort of budget, because you can't control human behavior 100%. I'm going to give him a budget of blow off money, right? If $5,000 is a lot of money to him, then I would say $500 or $1,000 spending spree is still a lot of money to him. So the question is, what do we do with the other $4,000? And in that situation, depending on the client, I'm going to place that in some sort of investment vehicle that is tailored to him. Like if he has a compulsion to spend, I might put it in a investment vehicle where he cannot access that money for 2 or 3 or 4 years. That is forced discipline. Because when he gets this little nerve and say, hey, man, everybody's going to Miami, I want to pull some money out. I'm going to say, hey, John, remember, we got it in X. We can't access that money for 5 years. So you're going to need to find that money somewhere else, because I technically cannot pull that money out early. That's forced discipline that I would give to that client. But once again, that's based on his individual spending habits. So a financial advisor has to know their client.
Well, hold on. The question that I got when you say I technically can't pull that money out, it sounds like you can, but
there's certain investment vehicles where maybe you can pull it out, but you're pulling it out at a huge disadvantage. Maybe there's a penalty of 40% of the investment because you pulled it out. There might have some language within the contract that says you can't pull this money out for 5 years. But if you have to pull this money out earlier than 5 years, then we're going to hit you with a 40% penalty.
Oh, okay.
So while, we can take it out, do you want to lose 40% of your principal?
Yeah, I want to go to Cancun. Like,
right. So that's why I have to lean and say, technically we can't pull it out, or we're gonna lose such and such and so and so. But normally, most contracts and most investments are going to give you some wiggle room to get out, but it's not going to be free. You're gonna get hit with a penalty for it.
Right on. King Dadango in the building with the $100 super chat. Appreciate you very much dropping $100 super chat. And you know, when somebody drop 100, we gotta have Smokey count it for us.
20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140.
That's $100.
Appreciate you coming on through with the $100 super chat. Definitely appreciate that. We got technological chaos in the building. He says it's even been suspected that the majority of the cryptocurrency space is over 1,000x leverage. What is that? 1,000x leverage.
Yeah, leverage is when you're buying a security with a loan.
Why do you say X?
1,000 times.
Oh, okay.
You're buying 1,000 times more in the security with borrowed money than your own money.
Gotcha. Then he says it may be viable to let bubble bust and invest on the true winners. Yeah. So you're saying it's that early gambling stage is right now, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you should only invest what you're willing to lose. Most people are not into cryptocurrency enough to understand what's a winner and what's a loser. They're just buying on speculation. So if you want to just spread your money around a little bit and hope that one wins, great. Or like technological chaos is saying, how about you just stack your money, sit back and wait, and when you see the winner, invest in it. Now, understand, after you saw the winner, it's like you're buying a blue chip stock. It probably won't grow exponentially because now it's a winner, but at least it's a steady investment at that point. So you got to know your risk tolerance. That's what it boils down to. You got to understand your risk tolerance and the investment vehicle you're investing in.
But would you say Bitcoin and Ethereum are two of the ones where it's not exactly at that level of gamble? Like some of them smaller wins where I look at the coin is worth 0.0375 cent or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
those are gambles that were just throwing it out there just to see what happened. But Ethereum and Bitcoin, you would say that's different. Like those are.
I would say they have a more established place in the marketplace. Yes, absolutely. Can I guarantee that it's a winner? Absolutely. No, I can't guarantee you that Chevy is going to be around, a GM is going to be around for the next 1,000 years. But yeah, those two coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have clearly demonstrated that they are somewhat stable within the marketplace. They have clearly demonstrated that they have some usability for the people who have invested in it. And yeah, those are ones that I would perceive have much less risk, but there's no guarantees. But yeah.
Right on.
One more question.
Orlando in the house.
Got one more question. Is that all right, Bernard?
All right, we're gonna go to go ahead, Little Big Nate, get your question in. Then
one last
pass the mic to Orlando.
Absolutely. Is there anything that scares you? Is there anything that has you having your passports ready for you, your family? No, I'm dead serious, man.
Right.
We're in scary times. Like, is there anything that keeps you up at night and is genuinely worrying you about our financial world here in America?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
And the reason why I have placed myself in a position to mitigate those risks as much as possible. Because I'm a student of finance and a practitioner of finance, honestly, if there was to be some sort of financial crash, I'm kind of situated in a position to take advantage of it. I mean, that's the way that I positioned myself.
That's when you buy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in a position where if there was a crash to happen, I would actually be able to take advantage of it. So that doesn't keep me up at night whatsoever. So if the market goes up, I'm good. And if the market goes down, I'm still probably.
Well, I wasn't asking necessarily personally.
In general,
for the country.
For the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, for the country, yes, because there's always people who live on the margins, man. There are people who are right now invested in cryptocurrencies and they're invested in the stock market who really don't have the financial stability to really be invested in it. What happens is we live in a business cycle, and that business cycle has peaks and then it also has valleys. You have to understand that. So you need a degree of liquid assets to sustain you while there is a downturn in the economy. The problem is, one, a vast majority of the Black community is not invested in the market. Then of those who are invested in the market, they are not liquid enough to recover from a downturn. So what worries me is that we're going to have a setback, generational, a setback in wealth in the Black community, because when the market dips, even if they're invested in the market, they're going to have to liquidate their accounts at a loss simply to survive. And those who are not in the market and they're living paycheck to paycheck, they're going to find themselves unemployed because they most likely do not have a labor skill set that's going to survive that downturn, and they're going to be in a bad position. So I am going to preach into the day I die to, one, make sure that you get a marketable skill, be it a 4-year college education in a field that makes sense, or a trade that will help you survive any downturns in the market, and make sure that you're actually financial planning. You have a emergency savings fund of anywhere between 3, 6, or 9 months before you even invest, because in an emergency, you can't look and run to liquidate an investment because most likely the investment is down at that time. So that's what I would say concerns me. But that's a concern that Black financial advisors have had since the dawn of time. That's nothing new.
Man, I appreciate it so much. JT, if you could check out my channel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Man, I appreciate you coming by. Man, what a great guest, Bernard, man. I appreciate it, sir.
Absolutely.
You gentlemen take it easy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Orlando Minor in the building. You two seem to know each other. So.
Let me introduce this brother real quick. Yeah. I know this brother in real life, not just in these YouTube streets, right? Me and this brother met years ago in what I can best describe as a real fight club. Just a group of guys who got together in a gym and decided to beat each other up, be it wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing. That's how we originally met. And then our relationship, professionally has grown because he is an expert in the real estate field. One of the things that I mentioned before, when a financial advisor is not an expert in any one particular field, we're obligated to bring in a subject matter expert to work with our clients. Orlando Minor is the guy that I bring in when it comes to a client who's interested in investing in real estate. The big picture stuff, I can talk to them about, I can counsel them about, I can let them know how to fit it into their portfolio. But the actual, workings of how to get that property, the things to look out for and financing and getting that property, I bring Orlando in. And his channel is honestly what I consider a hidden gem on YouTube for people who are interested in getting into real estate. And honestly, his channel inspired me to start my channel. He started his channel before me. And I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna get off my butt. I'm gonna do this. Because we talked about it. But when I saw him moving and grooving in his channel started growing, I was like, all right, Orlando, you made me get out my shell. I gotta actually turn on this webcam. So that's who Orlando Minor is.
All right, cool. That was a great introduction. I just subscribed to Orlando Minor.
I appreciate it, man.
And I believe
always upping me up, man.
That's his link right there, so other people can go subscribe to the brother as well. Now I gotta ask, when y'all was in this fight club, I'm assuming that the two of you fought, and who won?
Listen, I tell you right there.
I mean, you lost.
Let me explain. Let me explain.
Hold on, time out. If you ask somebody, did you win the fight, and they start off with, well, listen, let's see what happened was. I mean,
right. I come from a high school wrestler's background. So as far as being able to pick him up and turn him around and do this thing and pin him on his back, and I'm good at that. But this man is a jiu-jitsu expert. So while I think I'm winning, because I'm picking him up and I'm slamming him down and I'm playing with him on his feet. He can't hang with me on his feet. He doesn't care.
You're right.
He's going to let me do all the things, pick him up, slam him. And then while he's on his back, he's choking me out. So he's like, yeah, pick me up, slam me. I'll take the pounding for a minute, because the second you get me down on this mat, I'm going to put my legs around your neck and I'm going to choke you out. And yeah. That's how that happened.
Fair enough. All right, go ahead, Orlando. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we hear you good. You good.
Man, thanks. JT always giving me the great introductions. But yeah, my channel is basically about trying to get people to get into, their first rental property, into real estate in general. Real estate is, man, it's just one of those things, especially in our community. There's not a lot of information out there as far as how to get into real estate, and you can grow your wealth so much by getting into real estate and knowing where to start, what to do, all those things like that. So, that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, financial wise. I've been doing real estate investing for about, 15 years. Here though. So, and as far as what I do for a living, I do financing for real estate also. So I basically, I would say like Walmart, Target, big office buildings, multi-million-dollar financing is what I do for. I've been doing that for about 16, 17 years also. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely want people to check out your channel. You on mute, JT. I had to mute you. I was hearing some background when you was up fumbling around. I ain't want nobody to hear your wife telling you off or nothing.
Right. Please protect the brand. Please protect the brand.
Right. No, but I really appreciate being able to jump on your platform here, Bernard. I really appreciate that. I had literally saw you guys streaming. I went to Lowe's to help my grandma pick out some cabinets, came back, and y'all still streaming.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I do at least 3 hours a day. I do at least a 3-hour show per day. And then sometimes it get wild. We get like 17 people up here. Negroes get to arguing, and we could very well go.
Oh wow.
Well, we've done 8 hours before. We've done
marathons, man. Marathon. I've witnessed these marathons Bernard can run. I can't do it. I'm sweating like a preacher in church.
Yeah, no, we shutting it down. We shutting it down in 13 minutes. We shut it down right at the 3-hour mark promptly. But good stuff. Kenshawn, holistic health coach. We got the floor.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
That's great. I appreciate you, Bernard, for allowing me to come on to the platform. It's a great topic. I'm writing down the notes. The gentlemen, they're spitting the game, and I also keep in touch when you put on your financial shows. As it relates to to cryptocurrency and being your own bank. I personally have been teaching that now for 4 years, and I have a question after this comment. But what I found is that decentralization and power, and then power for what we're talking about is expression, and expression is your money. And the elite normally can make powerful decisions because they have their money. So when it comes to how do you earn, or how do you start off in something like a crypto or forex or trading or yields and dividends, I think it's first. I've lost thousands of dollars. It's best to just get your education for number one. And these two gentlemen right here, you guys go subscribe and whatnot. I teach as well. I have a small channel, but I'm not doing anything. But I have a couple of videos there up about teaching about cryptocurrency, mining, but as we know, mining is not profitable anymore unless you have a warehouse rigs. But I would say this: if you do not know about crypto right now, it is best for you to just jump into crypto. You don't need to invest. There's ways you can hodl and earn. There's ways you can do service and have people pay you in crypto. And then once you get into crypto, then you can learn how to either trade, how to hold until the price of the asset goes up, or you can learn how to, as when you trade and you profit, take the profit out and put it in a stable coin, and until you decide to buy again or on the dip, or go low again on the rise. I think for me, for what I've learned in cryptocurrency is it is not something that you should rely on. I've then learned about yields and dividends, or an 8% long-term rate on my $10,000 holding. So I think it's good to, when you do hit in a cryptocurrency sphere, it's good to take your money out. And then they have stuff like you don't have to own a whole property. You can own per square feet and hold that and get up to 14% just on that. So there's ways that you can, and as black men, once again, Mr. Samuels just had to show where, where's your power, and why do women have to listen to anything you say. So we need to know how to diversify our portfolios. And so my question to you all is, I'm hodling. If I hodl enough and earned enough to have $5,000, what is your best advice to the young men and women who want to take that 5,000 and turn that into 20?
Okay, I love this question because I get this question all the time, and I have to answer it the same way every time. It's going to depend. It's going to depend on the individual person. And the reason why is there are several factors within financial planning that we have to address before we decide where to park money. Now, if you're talking to a broker, someone who gets paid based off selling you a financial product, I'm sure that they can come up with an answer off the top of their head, regardless of who you are and what your circumstance is, because a broker is paid by selling you a product. But as an advisor, I have to know the individual person's situation before I can give them any advice of how to grow that $5,000 into $20,000. And here's the reason why. What if that person has $5,000 or $4,000 worth of credit card debt that's trending upwards of over 30%? If I can find an investment that can get you 8% or 10%, or let's even say 23%, right? You may feel good that your money's in some sort of brokerage account earning you 23%, but you've got the same amount of money or more money in a credit card that's charging you way more in interest. The math just doesn't work out. So it might be better, even though it may feel like a punch in the gut, to take that money and pay off that debt. At least now you can outpace the debt with your earnings because you paid it off. There's no financial advisor in the world today that will be able to find you an investment that's going to outpace the interest on any average credit card. So I have to know the personal situation of the individual before I can give them advice, because I'm a financial planner, not a broker. It doesn't matter to me where you put your money. What matters to me is that you put your money in the best place that benefits you, not the best place that benefits me.
Good answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was good. That was real good. I'm sitting here and you got me thinking. My mind, I got some things I need to get straightened out.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be amazed. I'll have a client that sits down and they'll show me that they have $20,000 in a savings account, but they have $35,000 worth of credit card debt that's upwards of 30% interest. That savings account is paying you 0.002% in interest. Even though it feels good that you see that 20 over there in the account, it's not helping you. It's losing value with inflation of about 3% a year, while this is growing at 30% a year. Pay that down. But finance is emotional. So you got to get through the emotion of money first.
So as far
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Orlando. No, you can go ahead, Orlando.
I just want to add, so in my business, so I'm a lender, right? So I see tax returns, I see credit, all that other stuff. And one of the things that I like to, that is really important to me is that a lot of times everybody wants to grow their money, and they want to grow their money no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter their personal situation, doesn't matter if they have a pile of debt, it doesn't matter if their credit is 400, it doesn't matter. They just want to grow their money. And what I always tell individuals is, instead of, I understand that you want to grow your money. Everybody wants to do that. But I think that your effort would be better suited. And I'm not saying this is your situation, but your effort would be better suited if you focus on getting your credit together, paying down your debt. Because a lot of times people think that, oh, I want to grow, just like what JT said, I want to grow my money to 8, 10, 20%. But you have all of this debt and all of your expenses. And if you pay down your expenses, that's just like growing your money.
Right.
It's the exact same thing.
It has a greater impact on your net worth, right? So not to get ridiculously nerdy with the math, but this is how we calculate net worth. We take a look at all of your assets and we subtract your liabilities, which are loans, right? And then the number that's left is your net worth. Now think of this. If you were to take an asset like cash and then buy a stock, which is a equity, another asset, you haven't changed your net worth yet, right? So if, let's say I have $5,000 worth of cash, right, and $2,000 worth of liabilities, loans. My net worth is $3,000. If I then take the same $3,000 and I buy Tesla stock, I haven't changed my net worth. The $3,000 of cash has just been converted to another asset, stock. I still have the $2,000 worth of debt. My net worth is still $3,000. But if I was to pay down the debt, I would lower my cash. I would also lower my liabilities. So now my net worth is lowered. But now when I accumulate more cash, which most people with a job, that's what you do, now I'm starting to boost my net worth. So it may be better in most situations to pay down that debt first before you try to grow the cash. That has a greater impact on your net worth.
Which leads me
to I know that we're gonna go too deep, but
I try to say that all the time. I hope that makes sense.
Which leads me to my final question. As it relates to consumer price index, we all know we're going to get deep here. That is not transparent, right? Because consumer price index is supposed to show the inflation rate, whether it be of the food store products or whether it be of the isolated items. That is not transparent. So consumer price index will kill the natural or the normal person making the standard amount of money. So that being said, how would you control your growth when you start from zero, paying your debt, and knowing that the consumer price index brings an inflation rate of, like you said, 3% and up? That is invisible, but people have to deal with it. How would you?
Okay. All right. So before I answer the question, I want to lay a foundation of what that CPI is for people who may not be aware. So one thing that the government does to kind of get a hold and a perspective of how inflation is growing, we have a concept of the CPI, Consumer Price Index. What they do is they take a certain amount of goods, things that you would buy. Imagine a grocery store cart that has eggs, milk, bread, stuff like that. And what the government does is every set amount of time, let's say every year, every 3 years, every 5 years, whatever, they just look and see how much in money does it cost to buy those goods. So let's say in the 1950s, you might have a grocery cart full of groceries that cost $20. But now that same amount of goods, the same exact egg, carton of eggs, bread loaf, everything's the same in the cart, but now it costs $100 to buy the same amount of groceries. That's what the CPI is measuring. How much money does it cost to buy the same amount of goods throughout a set measurable amount of time? So that's what he's referring to. And as that dollar amount goes up, that is how we can measure what inflation is. So just a foundation of what that CPI thing is. Now, what can you do as an individual to try to hedge against inflation, and how you can add things to your portfolio to protect yourself against that? Normally, what has traditionally been used as a hedge against inflation is precious metals. So gold, silver, things like that has traditionally been a hedge against inflation. It's not going to make you rich, but normally if you can add precious metals to your portfolio, that's going to be used to help you try to outpace inflation.
That I agree with that. Thank you.
Golden Eagle 99 in the building. He says, can the brother give us a place to go to invest in real estate by the square foot? I've never heard of that. Thanks, Bernie. And shout out to
ask him.
Panel. Now I believe that's who he's asking for. He's asking to answer that question. Go ahead. You got it, Orlando.
Yeah. I've never heard of that. So we're both in the same same group there. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but this is the thing that I really caution people on trying to invest or finding somewhat of shortcut ways to invest in real estate. Is it gets very tricky when you want to take advantage of all the benefits of real estate, especially the tax benefits of it. If you're investing by the square foot, how does that get broken down when it comes to you filing depreciation on your taxes? How does that get broken down when it comes to the write-offs? Do you get any of those write-offs? If you don't get any write-offs, is it even worth even trying to invest in that real estate? There's just so many questions, and I'm not sure the IRS has even gotten that.
I totally agree, and I can answer that
real quick. The closest thing that I could imagine within my practice that would make sense, a equivalent, is like investing in a REIT, right? When you invest in a real estate investment trust, you are buying into a investment where you are a fractional owner of a real estate portfolio. And what my clients get at the end of the year is a K1. If it's structured like a partnership or a S corporation or whatnot, they get a K1 and they can report the fractional result of the overall real estate portfolio. But by the square foot, I never heard of that, but I heard of REITs where you can buy a fractional portion of a real estate portfolio.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like REITs, and then there's a bunch of like where you can buy like kind of like doing Fundrise and stuff like that. Where
Fundrise is a REIT.
Yeah, pretty much stuff like that. But I've never heard of the by square foot. Yeah,
right.
I've never heard of
so
that.
When it comes to buying per square foot, once again we have to come back into the decentralized sphere, where it's unboundless and you're tied to nothing, no third party. So we're talking about cryptocurrency. With cryptocurrency, you can profit just off owning Litecoin at $41. You could hold on your Litecoin now above $100, but then the percentage of your growth while you invested into the trade of Litecoin is what you really will make your big money. Now,
hold on, I'm about to say, I understand that. We're talking about real estate.
Now, when it comes
explain the real estate by square foot.
You can just take some of your crypto and take it to the specific platform that has maybe Airbnb, or it has outright new hotel property. Okay. So what happens now is there's no direct owner. What there is there's the state that would schedule out per square feet properties, and it'll be limited. So once that per square feet is all the per square feet of the property is sold, there may be 90 or 100 owners, but the entire wealth and the growth of the property will be going up every day. Now,
how is that different
like a timeshare?
Right, your per annum doesn't change, and you're kind of locked in for 3 months. When you're in, and your per annum doesn't change. What really can change is if the overall company rises in the price that you bought it at, but you're still getting your 14% daily. So that's
okay. Stop right there. Stop right there. Yeah. The second you said 14% daily, scam. There's no 14% daily. That's a scam.
Well, that's the thing about crypto. That's why I said once you're coming back into the crypto sphere, when you put your money into blockchain, for example, that's just a web page. So anything could be a scam for that matter. Do your research.
What I can tell you of a certainty, that if anyone is claiming that they can get you 14% daily, if someone told me they can get me 14% monthly, that's a scam. When someone said they can get me 14% daily, that's a super scam. That's a super scam. Because if there's any type of investment vehicle that could get you that type of return, you would never hear about it. Because I wouldn't need to go to small retail investors, someone who can get me $5,000. I'll go to 5 billionaires and have all the money that I need. Why would an investment that has the potential to do 14% a day, why would you go to someone that can invest less than $100 million and not even think about it? Think about the logistics of that. Me having to get 1,000 people to give me $1,000, people want their money back. So I got to field a bunch of phone calls of people getting nervous about or I can go to one billionaire who's going to give me a couple $100 million and he won't talk to me in 5 years because he ain't missing it. Think about this, people. That's a scam.
I agree. And for that high percentage, you need to get in and you need to get out. That's for certain. And so, yeah.
Basically, what you're saying, when you need to get in and you need to get out, what you're saying is time the scam in the best way where you're not caught holding the bag. I can't give that advice.
That's crypto. That's most of the cryptocurrency. You know how much ICOs I've known that people have put their money into? And the ICOs
it's what's referred to as a pump and dump. And what you're telling people to do is, it's a pump and dump. It's an illegal financial scheme, but if you get out at the right time, you'll profit.
Well, if you do your research, you won't get in. If you know it's not right.
Because it's a pump and dump.
Right.
It's a scam.
I guess my last question, what do you think about all the goings on with AMC? As people know on my show, I put some money on AMC right before it started shooting up. Took a little profit, left a little bit in there. What's your thoughts overall on AMC? Because they're still talking about how, if everybody hold the short squeeze, going to the moon, all of that. What's your take on it? And that's the last question because we got to get up out of here. That's the last one.
Perfect.
And shout out, hold on real quick before you go. Shout out to Wizard X. He says info on NFT real estate. Is that a question?
Yeah, that's like that's kind of speaking into that crypto thing.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm not trying to put too many fresh questions on the table because I'm trying to escape. But I do want your thoughts on AMC.
Okay, so to me, AMC is different from GameStop in a very fundamental way. To me, GameStop was 100% speculation based on the fact that these big hedge funds were shorting this stock on a business whose business model clearly is outdated. A lot of people do not go to GameStop to get their games and get their consoles. You can buy these consoles online, get them shipped to your house. Mm-hmm. You can buy these games online and you can download them. So the hedge funds actually made sense in shorting those stocks because the concept of this business going out of business really does make sense. Unless they dramatically change the business model moving forward, they will not be able to sustain as they are because the world has changed. Now, when it comes to AMC was a victim of circumstance when it comes to the COVID shutdowns. People could not go to the movie theater. So obviously that company was going to take a dip because their whole business model was shut down based on the fact that people could not go out their homes. They couldn't go to a movie theater because they would be too close to each other. Now, as the world is starting to open up and people want to get back to some kind of normalcy, they want to watch the Avenger movies in the movie theater and not direct on Disney Plus. At least my family does. There's something that my family do as a tradition. We go out and we watch the big Avenger movies together in a movie theater rather than just watching it on the small screen. So if you are investing in AMC based on the fundamentals of the company and you believe that it's going to appreciate in value because the world is now opening up and people are actually going to go into these theaters and get back to normal, then you're fine. Now, if you're just doing it as a pump and dump, then you're kind of getting into that model of speculation and you might be left holding the bag. So that's why I see AMC different from GameStop, because GameStop clearly currently has a business model that is outdated, while AMC was a victim of circumstance. The business started to go down mainly based on the fact that people could not go to the movie theaters. But I personally still want to watch the next Avenger movie in the theater. And that's a fundamental thing, not a speculation. So, yeah, I believe
when the short sellers who voted against, well, I don't know if voted is the right word, but bet against AMC, took a bet against AMC, when they eventually have to sell, if that's the right term. Okay, so if they have to sell their shorts by default, that's going to make the stock go up more than what it naturally would from people just being able to go to the movies. So
because the thing is, they have to have an exit strategy. When they bought the stock, it was at a certain price, betting that it would go down. Their exit strategy is to buy it back, to give it back to the firm that they borrowed it from. They want to buy it back at a lower price. But they're
not going to be able to do that.
They're not going to be, exactly. So at some point, not only because the price is going up naturally by other people, the people who short it have to buy it back. There has to be a stock for them. So they're going to buy it back, and that's going to boost it up even more. It's going to inflate it, and it's going to be higher. But here's the issue. Those who hold for too long, there's going to be a reckoning, right? So let's say the happy medium, what the stock is actually worth, let's say that's $50, right? The short sellers bought it at 50, thinking it was going to go down to 5. They'll buy it back at 5 and they'll be good. But now it's at 100, right? And these are theoretical numbers. I don't know where it's at. But now it's at 100. They can try to have a strong gut and hope it goes back down to 50 or below, or they're going to just cut their losses, buy it back at 100 and take their loss, which in turns boosts it up more because the first guy that does that maybe is at 100, but the third and fifth guy now is at 250. So yeah, that one you should be probably good if you're buying it based on the fundamentals of the company, being that the world is opening up, people are going to start watching movies again, and it's nice added fact that people hate hedge funds and they want to screw it.
Yeah, it's the fundamentals of the company that, yes, the world going to open back up and the company's going to do better, so the stock will go up. And you got the hedgies by the balls, basically.
You got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, so it's a perfect perfect place to have some money sitting there chilling. But all right, yeah. I just wanted to see if you was gonna do some dream killing with AMC. You didn't kill my dreams.
Not based on the things that I said. Yeah.
All right. With that said, we got to get out of here, man. I got to thank everybody who came through today. This was another awesome, amazing stream. Got a lot of good information on the table. We got to do this some more, man. Because it's more questions on the table, man. I love your blunt financial honesty and truth. The way you hit it right down the center, man. I like it. So thank you everybody who participated, whether you like, share, subscribe, super chat, cash app. Yes. D-Rock Den, thank you for that cash app. I appreciate you on that. Y'all make sure y'all go and subscribe to Pocket Watching with JT. Okay, Leo Anthony on the job. Got the link still in the chat. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to the brother and check out Orlando Minor as well. Get some real estate information. Go check him out. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace. Oh, Sick Lid, shout out to you. I don't know. He said this dude is Boyce Watkins. What? All right. All right, y'all. We out of here on that note. We out of here.